Chapter 743. At Emperor Crimson Cloud's invitation, Tsing Hui went straight to the Eternals' guest hall. Although the Eternal sect had already activated the Great Mountain Barrier formation, and the Sage Realm powerhouses had stepped into the formation, they only needed a single command from Emperor Crimson Cloud to form a battle formation that could trap and kill any intruder. However, Tsing Hui's expression didn't change at all, as if he didn't care about the Eternal sect's Great Mountain Barrier formation or the Sage Realm powerhouses at all. Seeing his fearless appearance and thinking of the terrifying battle strength of the four sects, Emperor Crimson Cloud and the others could only nip the idea of trapping and killing Tsing Hui in the bud. Their Eternal sect was different from the Heavenly Tao. The Heavenly Tao had offended the four sects of the Firmament Realm, so it could naturally rest easy if it hid in the Great Mountain Barrier formation. If Tsing Hui, esteemed Zhu Zhao, Bai Heng, and Shadow Bearing were really determined to destroy it, it might not be impossible. When the time came, it would probably be a situation where both sides would suffer great losses. I actually came to the Eternal sect to discuss something with everyone. The Eternal sect, the Heavenly Tao, and the Divine Wilderness have always been at odds with each other. You must know that the Heavenly Tao has already contacted the worlds behind them. Now, a large number of experts from the original Heavenly Tao world are crossing over and about to invade the Divine Wilderness, right? These experts who have crossed over are all very powerful. Once they really arrive, the Heavenly Tao's power will expand to a point where no one can stop it. Our Firmament Realm, the Divine Wilderness, and even the Eternal sect will face a calamity. Tsing Hui said indifferently. This news, Emperor Crimson Cloud looked a little embarrassed when Tsing Hui mentioned this. In fact, we have more or less heard about it, but we don't agree with the authenticity of this news. Oh. Does the Eternal sect have any useful information? Emperor Crimson Cloud looked at Tsing Hui. They had always wanted to let the four sects and the Heavenly Tao suffer great losses, but in the current situation, the four sects obviously couldn't do anything to the Heavenly Tao that was protected by a 15th order Great Formation. When they could really deal with the Heavenly Tao, the Eternal sect and the Divine Wilderness would probably be in the bag of the four sections. From this point of view, the Eternal sect was equivalent to Firmament's hidden enemy. What? The Heavenly Tao and the Eternal are enemies. Right now, the four sects are helping the Eternal sect by attacking the Heavenly Tao. We want to ask some clues from the Eternal sect, but you Eternal are overcautious. Could it be that you want to take advantage of the situation after our four sects and the Heavenly Tao are both heavily injured? Oh. Emperor Crimson Cloud's tone was displeased. Emperor Crimson Cloud. The brilliant Sun Emperor became rather displeased with his tone. He immediately slammed the table and stood up. Sword Venerable Qing Su, others call you a sovereign of the way of the sword, but do you really think you're a sovereign? Why should the Eternal sect tell you the information we have? You'd better look carefully. You're in the territory of the Eternal sect. Believe it or not, I'll activate the Eternal sect's great protective formation and make it impossible for you to return. Make it impossible for me to return? Tsing Hui sneered when he heard this. Even the space maze in the cave abode of a powerhouse who can create a world with a thought can't trap me. What right does the Eternal sect have to make it impossible for me to return? There's no place in the entire Divine Wilderness that I can't go. If the Eternal sect doesn't believe me, you can try. How dare you, Emperor Crimson Cloud Emperor, stand down. Emperor Crimson Cloud Emperor shouted when he saw Emperor Crimson Cloud Emperor bringing the situation to a stalemate. At the same time, he turned to Tsing Hui and said, Sword Venerable Tsing Hui, it's not right for a guest to steal the limelight from the host. Although we know that you have an impressive cultivation base, the Eternal sect is not a pushover. If you're really aggressive, don't blame the Eternal sect and the Heavenly Tao for forgetting our former enmity and turning our attention to the Heaven Dome sect. I came here to inquire about the Heavenly Tao out of goodwill to find a way to deal with it, but your attitude really disappoints me. Sword Venerable Tsing Hui said coldly. He ignored Emperor Crimson Cloud Emperor and Emperor Crimson Cloud Emperor and looked directly into the Eternal Sect. "Where's Emperor Tai? Ask him to come out and talk to me. Emperor Tai is in seclusion and cannot be disturbed. As for the information you want, Sword Venerable Tsing Hui, we can only say that what we know is also limited. However, I doubt that the heaven primordial world behind the heavenly Tao can organize a second expedition." Emperor Crimson Cloud Emperor maintained a tough exterior, but he still revealed the information they knew. In the absence of a starry sky teleportation formation, it's not easy for a world to conquer another world. Unless those existences in the chaotic realm who have broken through to the realm of world creation with a thought personally appear. Only such existences can support a world to launch an expedition again and again. Otherwise, it would take hundreds or even thousands of years for a world to attack another world. This does not include the various dangers that may be encountered along the way. As far as I know, the heaven primordial world has been greatly damaged by the war against the divine wilderness world and has been targeted by other worlds. Whether it still exists is unknown, let alone conquering the divine wilderness world. After hearing Emperor Crimson Cloud Emperor's words, Tsing Hui thought of the information that Venerable Zhu Xiao had investigated and understood. The divine wilderness world was severely damaged, and the worlds behind the heavenly Tao and the eternity were not any better. Really? Why didn't you say so earlier? Why did you have to make the atmosphere so awkward? Tsing Hui said lightly. In fact, if there is a way to return to our world, we naturally want to go back. After all, the earth vein of the divine wilderness world has been destroyed and there is no future in this world, but, at this point, Emperor Crimson Cloud Emperor's expression became somewhat gloomy. I see. Give me a copy of the information you have about the heavenly Tao. We, the 4 sects of the Heaven Vault world, are willing to help you fight against the heavenly Tao. You should help us with this small matter. After a moment of silence, Emperor Crimson Cloud Emperor finally took out a jade booklet. We, the Eternity Sect, do not know much about the heavenly Tao. Here it is. Please take a look. Tsing Hui took the jade booklet and scanned it with his spirit. What was recorded in it was basically information about the divine powers of the heavenly Tao's Tao Masters. With this information, Tsing Hui did not want to waste any more time in the Eternity Sect. He nodded and said, "We will always remember the Eternity Sect's contribution to the destruction of the heavenly Tao. Now that I have this information, I will not disturb the Eternity Sect any longer. Goodbye." As soon as he finished speaking, he soared into the sky and quickly vanished into the horizon. You're really arrogant. If the heavenly Tao wants to die, it must be driven mad. I'd like to see who will have the last laugh in the end. However, it doesn't matter who has the last laugh. Emperor Tai has reached the critical moment of breaking through the void-shattering realm. Once he takes that crucial step, the heavenly Tao, the divine wilderness, and the heavenly Tao will all be crushed by the Eternity Sect. We, the Eternity Sect, are the ultimate rulers of the divine wilderness world and the Chaos Temple. Watching Tsing Hui leave, Emperor Crimson Cloud Emperor's expression gradually turned cold. Emperor Crimson Cloud Emperor, is what you said true? Is there really no reinforcements from the heavenly Tao? According to the information I secretly received, the heavenly Tao seem to be telling the truth. Everyone in the heavenly Tao firmly believes that there will be reinforcements from the heavenly Tao. Emperor Yan Zhu was puzzled. How can this be false? As early as 1,000 years ago, we already received news that the heaven primordial world behind the heavenly Tao had been attacked by the 3 hostile worlds. No matter how powerful the people of the heaven primordial world are, they were able to repel the enemies that invaded their world in the past 1,000 years. Do you think that they would have so much free time to go on a campaign against the divine wilderness world instead of recuperating and recovering as soon as possible? Emperor Crimson Cloud Emperor sneered. Emperor Yan Zhu and Emperor Xian Qi nodded in agreement. The heaven primordial world was indeed in a precarious situation. Alright, have you investigated the matter of the Glorious Era sect? Apart from us, why are the people of the heavenly Tao also collecting spatial crystals? Could it be that there's a second teleportation array in the divine wilderness world that can be activated? I'm personally in charge of this matter, but recently I've discovered that the people of the Glorious Era sect seem to be disloyal. They seem to want to break away from the eternal world. Moreover, they've secretly begun to contact the heavenly Tao. Emperor Yen Zhu's tone was grave. Break away from the eternal world? Humph. The people of the Glorious Era sect sure have guts. Don't tell me they've forgotten how they got to where they are today. Then wait. Even if the Glorious Era sect is disloyal, they won't dare to openly show it. We'll turn a blind eye and wait until Emperor Tai Yi breaks through. Once Emperor Tai Yi steps into the void-shattering realm, the people of the Glorious Era sect will understand the serious consequences of their little actions. I understand. Emperor Yen Zhu nodded. For now, let's play it safe and let them fight to the death. After Tsing Hui received the news, he naturally left the eternal world. However, he also understood that the information given by the eternal world could only be half-believed at best. The final situation could only be determined after he returned from the divine wilderness and combined the two together with the intelligence channels controlled by the heavenly Tao and the other forces. Compared to the eternal world, the divine wilderness was a local force and had an innate advantage. Naturally, the intelligence channels of the eternal world could not compare to them. Therefore, before Tsing Hui arrived at the divine wilderness encampment, there were already people waiting outside. Moreover, the divine wilderness array had been activated long ago. The auras of 4 saint stage powerhouses were faintly discernible inside. In addition, there were 3 saint stage powerhouses waiting outside the array to receive him. This lineup could not be said to be small. I heard that Sword Sovereign Tsing Hui has come to visit. Vast Sea has specially waited here for your arrival. Among the 3 saint stage powerhouses waiting outside the array, Divine Sovereign Vast Sea was the first to speak with a smile. Divine Sovereign Vast Sea. Tsing Hui nodded to Divine Sovereign Vast Sea. I wonder if Divine Sovereign Vast Sea has inquired about the purpose of my visit. I haven't specifically inquired about it, but the eternal world deliberately spread similar news. There's no need to inquire about it. Sword Sovereign Tsing Hui, you've come to ask about the Heavenly Tao's reinforcements and also to understand the Heavenly Tao's background, right? Divine Sovereign Vast Sea said with a smile. Chapter 744. That's right. Tsing Hui nodded. We of the Divine Wilderness do indeed possess a deep understanding of the heavenly way. If the Green Ruins Sword Venerable is willing to destroy these cultivators who have invaded our Divine Wilderness and wreak havoc, we of the Divine Wilderness will do our best to support you. Hierarch Vast Sea said as he took out a jade booklet. This is the detailed information we've collected about the Heavenly Tao over the years, as well as the estimates and speculations of the Heavenly Tao's reinforcements that are unlikely to come. Tsing Hui did not expect the people of the Divine Wilderness to hand over the information so readily. He could not help but be surprised. However, thinking that the Divine Wilderness probably had the intention of sitting on top of the mountain and watching the tigers fight, he felt that their actions were reasonable. In fact, Sword Sovereign Tsing Hui, I personally feel that compared to the unknown reinforcements of the Heavenly Tao that will take many years to arrive in our Divine Wilderness, what we really need to pay attention to are the people of eternity. Oh. How do you know? In fact, 1,000 years ago, the world behind Eternal used some unknown method to partially repair the transmission array between Eternal and our Divine Wilderness, allowing Eternal to contact the world behind them. After 1,000 years, this transmission array that was only partially repaired has now been completely perfected. The only problem now is that there is not enough energy left to activate this transmission array. Because of the technical problems with the restoration of the array, only Eternal can activate the array. However, to activate this transmission array that spans billions of kilometers requires an astronomical amount of void crystals. Because of this, until now, Eternal has not completely obtained enough void crystals to activate the array and receive reinforcements from the other side of the array. Supreme God Vast Sea said. There is a transmission array in eternity. That's right. Supreme God Vast Sea said with a regretful expression. In fact, the 4 sects of the divine wilderness have joined forces to fight against the heavenly Tao. As a part of the divine wilderness, we have to stand up and help you fight against the heavenly Tao and weaken the power of these invaders as much as possible. The reason why our divine wilderness has not made any moves is mainly because we have been distracted by the news from eternity. If Sword Sovereign Xing Hui carefully investigates, he will find that in the past 10 years, our divine wilderness and eternity have had frequent conflicts. Sometimes, even saint stage experts have appeared. The main purpose of this is to provide an opportunity for others to spy on eternity. Xing Hui did not doubt Supreme God Vast Sea's words. Sword Sovereign Xing Hui, although you haven't stepped into your current realm for long, as time passes and you are shackled by the resources and Yuan Qi of the divine wilderness, it will be difficult for you to improve your cultivation. It won't be long before you become like us, trapped in the saint stage and unable to make any further progress. If you want to step further into the vacuum-shattering realm and condense a divine true body with a lifespan of tens of thousands of years, you will have to find a way to leave the divine wilderness. There are 2 ways to leave the divine wilderness. One is to forge a flying boat, but even if the flying boat is forged, it will take at least several hundred years to travel from one world to another. This method can only be used as a backup. The best way is to have the transmission array in our hands. If we can control it and go to the world behind eternity, a wider world will unfold for us. At that time, with your talent, let alone cultivating a divine true body and extending your lifespan for tens of thousands of years, it will not be an extravagant hope for you to even create a world with a thought and become a mighty expert of a world. Supreme God Vast Sea's tone was bewitching as he stared at Xing Hui with sparkling eyes. A mighty expert of a world? Xing Hui looked at Supreme God Vast Sea in front of him and could not help sneering. In the end, you are just using me to deal with eternity. Supreme God Vast Sea shook his head. This matter is not about using you or not. We have a common interest and should work together. Work together? Xing Hui was slightly dumbfounded. I'm very curious. If you open the transmission array to the world behind eternity, aren't you afraid of being killed by the masters stationed there as soon as you arrive? Won't that be the same as sending yourself to death? We've obviously considered this problem already, but how we deal with it is related to the chaotic divine hull. If the Green Ruin Swordmaster is willing to join us, we're willing to tell you everything about our plans. As a matter of fact, even if we can leave the divine wilderness once we've gathered enough spatial crystals, you can still lead us. Speaking of this, Supreme God Vast Sea paused for a moment. Sword Venerable Xing Hui should be able to sense that those who can cultivate to the divine wilderness are all dragons among men and peerless geniuses. If they really go to a world without the constraints of resources and environment, everyone's cultivation will definitely increase by leaps and bounds within 100 years. Advancing 1 or 2 realms won't be a problem at all. At that time, Sword Venerable Xing Hui will have such a force in hand and will have the foundation to establish himself in that world. At that time, I'm afraid that you won't be able to obtain a steady stream of resources. Alright, Supreme God Vast Sea, there is no need to waste your breath. Those who walk different paths cannot make plans together. Since I have already obtained information about the heavenly Tao, I will not disturb you any further. Farewell. After Xing Hui finished speaking, he stood up. Sword Venerable Xing Hui, there is no need to worry. You can go back and think about it slowly. I believe that one day, you will understand. Supreme God Vast Sea smiled and said, his expression rather calm. I don't want the people of the divine wilderness to do anything that will endanger the future development of the divine wilderness. After Xing Hui finished speaking, he cupped his hands and left without saying another word. Humph. After Xing Hui left, Supreme God Feng Shao, who was standing beside Supreme God Vast Sea, coldly snorted, you don't want us to do anything that will endanger the future development of the divine wilderness. What, they haven't even become the overlord of the divine wilderness, yet they have already begun to consider themselves the overlord of the divine wilderness. Don't forget, back then, it was our divine wilderness that spent a great deal of effort to preserve the divine wilderness, but did our divine wilderness claim any credit? At this rate, if we really let them soar, will there still be a place for us to live? Supreme God Vast Sea waved his hand slightly, motioning for Supreme God Feng Shao to calm down, and then said with a smile, Sword Venerable Tsing Hui is different from us old fellows. He is a peerless genius who took 40 years to cultivate to the profound void stage, so it is reasonable for him to be arrogant and despotic. For him to reach the profound void stage in 40 years, how difficult would it be for him to break through to a higher realm in the future? But let's wait and see. Maybe he can take the step to shatter the vacuum, but when the divine true body stage, which requires a huge amount of resources, blocks him like a natural chasm, making him unable to make any progress for hundreds or even thousands of years, he will understand that only by joining our divine wilderness and leaving this world with us can he have a broader world. Then, our divine wilderness will just watch him show off in front of us before swaggering off. We need to be tolerant and patient. Sword Venerable Tsing Hui's power has already been established. Before we have enough confidence to deal with him, we'd better restrain our temperament. Otherwise, we will only be asking for trouble. Supreme God Vast Sea said lightly. Supreme God Feng Zhao's expression changed slightly when he heard Supreme God Vast Sea's words, but in the end, he did not continue. There is actually a spatial teleportation array in eternity that leads to the world behind eternity. On the way back to Sky Vault, Tsing Hui's mind flashed through many thoughts. He understood why the divine wilderness had told him this news. It was nothing more than wanting him to deal with eternity after destroying Tian Dao. It was just that, it had to be said that Supreme God Vast Sea's plan was really useful to him. The divine wilderness was restricted by its environment and other factors, making it very difficult for him to break through to a higher realm in a short time. He had to go to a world with more abundant resources, and the world behind eternity was undoubtedly the best choice. Although this world was weaker than the heyday of the divine wilderness, it was not that much weaker. If he could go to that world, according to the cultivation speed of this world and the foundation of the transformation of his spiritual world by the fortune jade, it might not be impossible for him to cultivate to the realm of a thought world within 16 years. As long as he could reach a thought world, it would be much easier to solve the crisis of Earth. At that time, he could even go to the battlefield where the territories of the Master of Chaos, the Master of Time, and the Master of Gods converged through other channels. From there, he could defeat True God Extet and indirectly dissolve the threat of True God Extet's lineage to Earth's civilization. Thinking of this, Tsing Hui's expression gradually became solemn. There are many saints in eternity. If they leave the mountain guarding array and confront me head-on, I won't be afraid. With my understanding of the law of space and the sword of eclipse, even if everyone in eternity, including the Tai E Emperor, swarms me, my chances of winning are more than 80%. But if the people of eternity hide in the mountain guarding array and passively defend like Tian Dao, Tsing Hui frowned. He really did not have the ability to destroy eternity by himself. Of course, if he joined the 4 sects of the Heaven Vault sect, he should be able to destroy eternity. But in the face of the counterattack of an unbelievably profound force like eternity before death, the price he would have to pay would be extremely heavy. After a moment of silence, Tsing Hui made a decision in his heart. A day later, he appeared in the Heaven Vault sect's encampment. Learning of his arrival, the Firmament Master immediately asked, Tsing Hui, how is it? Is there really an expert from Tian Dao coming? Eternity and the divine wilderness think that this is unlikely. Tsing Hui said. The Firmament Master nodded his head and said at the same time, in fact, we have been interrogating the Lihan Holy Man recently. It's a pity that the Lihan Holy Man is so loyal to the heavenly axiom that he has not relented. The Lihan Holy Man has not relented until now? Tsing Hui frowned. The next moment, he was horrified. At present, our Heaven Vault sect is powerful. Anyone can see that Tian Dao is an arrow at the end of its flight and can only rely on the mountain guarding array to survive. If the Lihan holy man is sensible, it is impossible for him not to change his choice. But he is still unswervingly supporting Tian Dao, then, there is only one possibility. Chapter 745. The heavenly axiom has a way to turn the tables. Xing Hui's words stunned the firmament master. His expression turned serious as he said, furthermore, there should be 100% chance that they can turn the tables. Doesn't that mean, the reinforcements from the heavenly axiom are real? Yes. Otherwise, I can't think of any reason why the Lihan holy man would still cling to the heavenly axiom's position. This is bad. Only we can deduce that the reinforcements from the heavenly axiom are real. The eternal and divine wilderness think that reinforcements from the heavenly axiom are real. This means that we can't get any reinforcements from the eternal and divine wilderness, so what if we get reinforcements from the eternal and divine wilderness? Even if we combine our powers, we may not be able to break through the protective mountain formation of the heavenly axiom. Even if the Zhenzhou exalted master breaks through to the void-shattering realm, he still can't do anything to the protective mountain formation of the heavenly axiom. Xing Hui said. The firmament master fell silent when he heard this. The biggest problem was that no one could do anything to the protective mountain formation of the heavenly axiom. The only way to stop the reinforcements from coming was to destroy the connection between the heavenly axiom and the reinforcements from the heavenly axiom. The world was vast and endless. Without the guidance of coordinates, it was almost impossible to travel from one world to another. The probability was equivalent to traveling from a small fishing village in North America to a small village in Eurasia. Without navigation, it was impossible to find the right direction. What's more, the universe was three-dimensional and not flat like the ocean. In this way, without navigation guidance, it would be even more difficult to find the target world. Can we only watch the people from the heavenly axiom hide in their turtle shell until the reinforcements from the heavenly axiom arrive? The void-shattering realm power can't break through the defense of the heavenly axiom. However, the divine true body is formed by refining one's abhijna, soul, inner yuan and many other powers into one's own body. Compared to the void-shattering realm, the divine true body is much more powerful. It can completely tear apart the defense of the heavenly axiom. Xing Hui said. The divine true body. The Zhenzhou exalted master may have a chance to break through to the divine true body, but it will take decades or even centuries. Xing Hui fell silent. He could barely tear the defense of the heavenly axiom apart. However, the defense of the heavenly axiom could be repaired immediately. If he tore a corner of it, the defense of the heavenly axiom would be repaired. If he was not careful, he would be trapped himself would be trapped. Even if he used the transformation technique to transform into the divine beast Kunpeng, it would still be difficult for him to completely tear apart the formation of the heavenly Tao in such a short time. There was no way. Let's find a way axiom, Master Firmament said again. Qing Su nodded. That was the only thing they could do now. After Master Firmament left, Qing Su thought to himself for a moment before directly contacting Sword Saint Xiao Luying of the Hidden Sword Sect through the Chaos Divine Hall. Very soon, he obtained the coordinates of the Hidden Sword Sect. As the energy ripples of the avatar technique dispersed, the avatar and the true body swapped places. The Qing Su's true body had already appeared in Xiao Luying's courtyard. Xiao Luying, who had heard of Xing Hui's battle achievements, immediately bowed respectfully. Greetings, Sword Master Xing Hui. Welcome back to the sect, Great Elder Xing Hui. Xing Hui nodded to Xiao Luying and asked, how is the Hidden Sword Sect doing? In response to the Great Elder, the Hidden Sword Sect is currently at peace, and the Hidden Sword Continent is also experiencing favorable weather. Right now, our Hidden Sword Sect is even planning to open our doors in 3 months' time to recruit disciples. If the great elder of the Qing Su ruins is fortunate enough to attend, the entire hidden sword sect will definitely be honored. 3 months, I will attend if I have time. Xing Hui replied casually and went straight to the point. Is Sword Master Hidden Sword here? Sword Master Hidden Sword has been in the Myriad Swords Peak ever since he returned to the sect a year ago. He has not left the mountain yet. Well, I will go to the Myriad Swords Peak. You can do your own things. Xing Hui said and jumped up. He did not use any divine powers, but his figure was already shuttling through the void at an incredible speed. Soon, he arrived at the Myriad Swords Peak. As soon as he arrived at the Myriad Swords Peak, Qing Su studied the mountain that was rumored to be filled with various wondrous things. The last time he came to the Myriad Swords Peak, his cultivation was still weak. Even though he could feel that the Myriad Swords Peak was extraordinary, he still couldn't figure it out. But this time, not only had his cultivation reached the level of the insightful Void Realm, but his spiritual power had also reached the peak of the insightful Void Realm. In addition, the Fortune Divine Jade had molded and changed his divine soul, causing his vision to change dramatically. Under these changes, he immediately sensed the mysterious and great will that Sword Master Hidden Sword had mentioned. It was an indescribable, invisible, and untouchable existence. However, Qing Su just happened to know that it was in the mountain. There is indeed a great secret hidden in the Myriad Swords Peak. Xing Hui looked serious. After pondering for a while, he first activated the backtracking technique. Then, he stepped onto the Myriad Swords Peak and landed beside Sword Master Hidden Sword, who was quietly comprehending the sword will. Sword Master. Xing Hui said. Sword Master Hidden Sword opened his eyes and an obscure wave of energy flashed across his body. Feeling this wave of energy, Xing Hui smiled faintly. Congratulations, Sword Master. Sword Force is in sight. A smile appeared on Hidden Sword Venerable's face as he said, I didn't expect Hidden Sword Peak to be so mysterious. Back then, I sensed a terrifying intent from this peak, so I feared this peak like a tiger. However, I didn't expect that this peak, which contains tens of thousands of sword spirits, would have such an incredible effect on the comprehension of sword intent and sword Dao. Over the past year, not only have my sword Dao improved a lot, I've even vaguely touched upon the threshold of sword force. If I continue to cultivate, I might really be able to comprehend sword force. Sword Master is a genius. You created the ultimate sword Dao. In terms of talent, there are probably less than 10 people in the entire divine wilderness who can stand shoulder to shoulder with you. With your talent, comprehending sword force will be a piece of cake. Xing Hui said sincerely. Sword Master Hidden Sword waved his hand. I am no longer the same as before. After saying that, he changed the topic to Xing Hui. Xing Hui, you came here this time. Are you planning to immerse yourself in Sword Dao and use Sword Dao to resonate with the Great Will in Myriad Swords Peak? Yes and no. Xing Hui said as he looked down at Myriad Swords Peak. If my senses are not wrong, I already know where the Great Sword Spirit is. You can actually sense the Sword Spirit. Hidden Sword Venerable's heart trembled. According to what I know, the Myriad Sword Peak has existed since a long time ago. Its history can even be traced back to the ancient times before the divine desolate world was destroyed. In that era, our divine desolate world was filled with experts, and the number of Saint Realm experts were as many as the stars in the sky. But even in that era, it is said that no one understood the mysteries of the Myriad Sword Peak, and now you. But now. This is a feeling that has nothing to do with cultivation or realm. Qing Su pondered slightly. He was unable to understand the reason for this feeling either. In the end, he could only say, perhaps my way of the sword really has resonated with it. Now, all I need to do is find a way to awaken that great sword spirit and have him lead me into the mountain. Sword Venerable Hidden Sword sucked in a deep breath when he heard that. Looks like this great sword spirit really is fated to be with you. Qing Su, I hope you can grasp this opportunity well. Of course, if there's danger, don't force yourself. You have a great future ahead of you, so if there's danger, you have to be careful. Where there's life, there's hope. I understand. Tsing Hui nodded slightly. In the next moment, he waved his hand and a scarlet sword appeared in his hand. At the same time, he began to immerse himself in the novelty and excitement of the first time he came into contact with the Dongyang sword sect swordsmanship. However, as soon as he thought of the Eastern Sun sword sect, Qing Su could not help but think of his senior sister Jiang Ningxi's figure. He thought about how he had been on Earth for an entire year, yet he had not received any news from her at all. It was very likely that she had met a tragic end, so his heart immediately ached slightly. Sword Master Hidden Sword could vaguely feel the change in Tsing Hui's sword essence. However, at this moment, Tsing Hui was clearly immersing himself in his Sword Dao realm so that he could resonate with the great sword spirit. Sword Master Hidden Sword did not dare to disturb him and quietly left the Myriad Sword's peak. He also ordered his disciple, Tsing Hui, to seal off the Myriad Sword's peak and prevent anyone from going up the mountain. He did not want any disciples to disturb Tsing Hui and cause him to miss out on a great opportunity. Time flew by. Tsing Hui tried his best to immerse himself in the purity of the first time he came into contact with swordsmanship. Gradually, he seemed to have sensed something and was moved. He did not know how many mornings he had set foot on the Myriad Sword's peak, but he quietly began to practice the various swordsmanship of the Dongyang sword sect. The swordsmanship of the Dongyang sword sect was not considered brilliant, but at this moment, when it was being performed by Tsing Hui, there was an indescribable sense of naturalness, harmony, and beauty. If any martial artist from Earth were to see Tsing Hui practicing his swordsmanship, they would definitely not treat his swordsmanship as some kind of peerless killing swordsmanship. Instead, they would treat it as art, nature, and all things. It was like a ray of morning sunlight that shone in the forest. It was also like a faint stream of clear spring water that flowed quietly. Harmony. Nature. During this process of practice, his spiritual world that had been transformed by the creation divine jade naturally penetrated into the swordsmanship and merged with it. It made the swordsmanship divine and transformed into sword essence. This wave of sword essence seemed to have caused a mysterious resonance in the Myriad Sword's peak. Suddenly, a great will began to awaken in the Myriad Sword's peak. As Tsing Hui's mind was completely immersed in his swordsmanship, he did not sense the arrival of this great will at all. However, Hidden Sword Venerable, who was outside the Myriad Sword's peak, even though Hidden Sword Venerable was strong enough to fight against a divine being, he still sensed this great will immediately. For a moment, his body could not help but tremble slightly. I knew it, I knew it. Tsing Hui will definitely be chosen by the great sword spirit. He is the sword spirit, the chosen one of the entire world. Chapter 746. Tsing Hui, who was immersed in his own swordsmanship, could not sense the changes in the outside world at all, nor was he aware of the mighty power displayed by the great sword spirit in this mountain. It was a mighty power that could change space. A second ago, Tsing Hui was still practicing swordsmanship on the mountain peak, but the next second, his figure had quietly appeared in a towering and magnificent palace. This palace could not be called luxurious, but it had an indescribable natural harmony. Every pillar, every mural, every incense burner, and even every piece of furniture was placed so naturally. It seemed that if any item was destroyed or the layout of any place changed, this natural and harmonious beauty would vanish. And in this palace, an old man wearing a Taoist robe with an 8 trigrams pattern printed on the chest and back was quietly sizing up Tsing Hui, who was immersed in his swordsmanship. At the same time, he seemed to be sensing something, staring at his sword with bright eyes. Or rather, the sword intent emanating from his sword. This old man had a head full of white hair and a long beard that almost reached his waist, but his face did not show any signs of old age. His appearance had a sparkling and translucent jade-like feeling, faintly reflecting light in this clean and tidy hall. No. Not reflecting light. But. This old man seemed to be left with only a shadow, but this kind of illusion was not very obvious, and could not be seen at all if one did not look carefully. The old man looked at Xing Hui for a moment, and then quietly made a move. A clear light shot out from the palm of his hand, directly entering between Xing Hui's eyebrows. The next moment, Xing Hui, who was just practicing the swordsmanship of the Dongyang sword sect, suddenly changed his swordsmanship. A blazing and violent intent swept out from his swordsmanship, turning into a flame that seemed to be able to burn the void, and constantly spread in all directions. This was the sword of the glorious sun. The moment the sword of the glorious sun spread out, the blazing and violent energy inside had undergone a new round of changes, and an even more terrifying power burst out from it. This was the sword of the glorious sun, which had evolved from the sword of the glorious sun. Not long after the sword of sunlight spread out, Xing Hui's sword once again slashed forward. Under this slash, the void space seemed to be distorted by an invisible force. An unbelievably huge gravitational field came crashing down, accompanied by an unprecedented light that seemed to be formed from the distortion and collapse of space. Supernova. This was the sword of eclipse. After the demonstration of the sword of solar eclipse, Xing Hui's swordsmanship seemed to pause for a moment. But then, the spatial distortion caused by the explosion and collapse seemed to have broken another limit. The distorted space turned into all-devouring darkness, and a frighteningly powerful gravitational force spread out from the all-devouring darkness. Matter, vitality, spells, abilities, and even light were all devoured by the darkness. When the old man saw this, his eyes finally lit up. Seeing that after this slash, Xing Hui's swordsmanship seemed to have come to an end, the old man pondered for a moment, and once again shot out a clear light into Xing Hui's body. As he shot out this clear light, his illusory figure that needed to be seen clearly suddenly became clear. Correspondingly, Xing Hui's swordsmanship, which seemed to have come to an end, began to change again. But this change seemed to be extremely slow, and constantly consumed Xing Hui's energy, spirit, and yuan qi, as if he was stimulating the potential of his life to deduce this sword that had never appeared before. Xing Hui's fourth sword was a simulation of a black hole. And what was a black hole? It was just a new kind of celestial body, not a hole with another universe inside. It was just that this celestial body was incredibly dense, causing its gravitational force to be so great that even light was bound to its surface and could not be reflected, making it impossible for human vision to capture its existence. But a black hole was not truly immortal and everlasting. All the matter inside a black hole would be decomposed into neutrinos and smaller particles, and then be ejected again. As this ejection process continued, the black hole would eventually evaporate, or even explode into nothingness. At that time, although the black hole had disappeared, the new particles that were decomposed and reconstructed by it would be reborn in a different way, giving rise to a new realm. A realm that could be in touch with the origin of the world. A realm that could be in touch with the legendary Hunyuan primordial Qi, also known as Tao. Unfortunately, with the help of the old man, Xing Hui seemed to have seen something, but this so-called Hunyuan primordial Qi, this so-called sky, was a mess. Countless broken substances were ejected from this broken sky, and then they were precipitated and smelted in the universe, and finally, they became a strange substance. A substance called Tao Rime, Shen Rime, or Time Rime. Tao Rime. As his thoughts turned from the Tao Rime, Xing Hui, who was completely immersed in the comprehension of swordsmanship, suddenly woke up from that mysterious realm. Just as he woke up, an unprecedented weakness had already surged into his mind. The strength of this weakness was like a landslide and a tsunami, destroying all the willpower that Xing Hui could possess, and instantly dimming his spiritual world. If it were not for the fact that his spiritual world had been modified by the Fortune Jade and was being suppressed by the Fortune Jade, his spiritual world would have collapsed completely and he would have fallen into a tragic state where his soul would scatter. But even so, his consciousness remained awake for less than a second, and he still fell into a coma as if to protect himself. Tsing Hui, who was in a coma, seemed to have fallen into a grotesque and variegated state. Just like when a person was sick with a fever, due to the influence of their consciousness, they might have all kinds of incredible dreams in their sleep. It was the same for Tsing Hui, who had exhausted his energy, spirit and vitality. In the dream, he seemed to have transformed into the agent of a vast and indescribable great willpower, inspecting a world that spanned tens of millions of light-years. The circulation of vitality in the entire world, the rise and fall of the sun, the setting of the moon, and the 6 realms of reincarnation were all under his supervision and control. This feeling, it made him feel very mysterious. However, this feeling did not last long before the unimaginably vast great willpower was torn apart by countless more terrifying forces. A doomsday aura filled the entire world, as if the world was falling apart and everything was sinking into oblivion. Although countless meteors rose slowly and collided with the terrifying willpower from the outside world, and dazzling sparks sputtered out, but, that was all. In the end, the will of heaven collapsed, and an unprecedented panic and fear filled his entire body. Then, he seemed to be torn apart by several mighty forces, and finally, under the influence of the will of heaven that had not completely collapsed, he was split into 4 and sputtered in all directions. In this dream, there were no images, no material objects. Everything was filled with a gray fog. He could only feel prosperity, exhaustion, satisfaction, shock, fear, despair, and other emotions. Especially in the later stages, these emotions that seemed to originate from the depths of his soul constantly tortured him, almost driving him crazy. However, like a person who had fallen into a nightmare, no matter how much he struggled, how much he roared, how much he screamed, the feelings of fear and despair always wrapped around him, lingering around him, as if they wanted to drag him down, 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 and down until he was beyond redemption. This torture lasted for an unknown period of time. It could be a year, it could be 10 years, it could be an eternity. Finally, in this torture, Tsing Hui seemed to have grasped an opportunity. He suddenly struggled and broke free. Outside, his eyes that had been tightly shut and could not be opened no matter how hard he tried, suddenly opened. Shock, fear, despair, and other emotions turned into a suffocating divine light that shot out. If this divine light was looked directly at by any cultivator whose spiritual level had not reached level 130, the negative emotions contained in it would be enough to cause Tsing Hui's consciousness to collapse and his soul to be annihilated. Huff. 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 Tsing Hui panted violently, like a drowning person who had just floated to the surface of the water. The fatigue in his spirit and body surged in waves, almost swallowing him completely. How can this be? You'd better not act rashly now. Wait until your so-called recovery characteristics have healed your body. An old voice with a trace of fatigue sounded in Tsing Hui's ears. Immediately, Tsing Hui's gaze turned and fell directly on the white-robed old man who had the demeanor of a transcendent being. However, this old man's appearance had changed greatly from when he had first appeared. He could barely maintain his human form, and it seemed like he would turn into a cloud of mist in the next second. Tsing Hui sized up the old man for a moment, sensing the aura of the great will that he had vaguely sensed. His eyes narrowed. Don't be impatient. The old man said, it's not too late to ask after you've rested for a while. Tsing Hui took a deep breath. His body was so weak that he was at the end of his rope. Fortunately, as his consciousness recovered, under the influence of the 10th level recovery characteristics of the Son of Chaos, he gradually regained a trace of vitality. However, his face was still deathly pale. After more than an hour, Tsing Hui felt that his strength had more or less recovered. Only then did he turn to the old man. When he had first sensed this old man, he had clearly sensed a power so strong that it made one tremble. Although there was not much energy, just a trace of it was enough to make his heart tremble. But now, the old man's aura was still unfathomable, but it did not pose as much of a threat to him as before. At the very least, he could vaguely sense the old man's level. Very strong. He was much stronger than any saint stage powerhouse he had ever seen. But, if he really wanted to fight, the level of energy he could maintain might not even reach the level of a world with a single thought. Chapter 747. 7-Star Demon Refining Sword. Xing Hui looked at the old man in front of him and asked in an uncertain tone. That's right. I'm the sword spirit of the 7-Star Demon Refining Sword. You can call me 7-Star. Xing Hui's breathing quickened slightly. The Tao Protector Sword of the Grand Supreme Saint in Myths and Legends. 7-Star's eyes turned deep as he looked at Xing Hui with a scrutinizing gaze. You know about the Grand Supreme Saint? Any rumors about the primordial era in this world should have been annihilated a long time ago. Xing Hui was mentally prepared for this answer. After a moment of silence, he answered truthfully, this might have something to do with the fact that I didn't come from this world. There are rumors about the Grand Supreme Saint in your world. Tell me about it. 7-Star asked in a deep voice. Xing Hui nodded and recalled all the rumors he knew about the mythological era. However, he immediately discovered that his thoughts were much faster than before. Moreover, even though his essence, energy, and spirit had yet to recover to their peak, he could still sense the changes in his body. For a moment, he couldn't help but look at the character model of the Son of Chaos. The other data didn't change from before, but the key was his spirit. Ever since he returned to the divine wilderness from Earth, his mental strength was at level 149. But at this moment, when he looked at his mental strength again, he realized that his mental strength had reached level 160. Compared to the previous level of 149, it was a full 11 levels higher. This, Xing Hui seemed to know why he was surprised and immediately said, don't make a fuss. I used what little power I had left to stimulate your life potential. Even though your life potential is concentrated on your spirit because I'm only a sword spirit, your physique should also have a significant increase. The only thing I can't do is true qi. This world's true qi originates from the so-called 12 mythological beasts, but these 12 mythological beasts are no longer the 12 mythological beasts of the past. They. Physique. Xing Hui's body had yet to fully recover, and his spirit qi was severely depleted, but this didn't affect his ability to sense the changes in his body. He was surprised to discover that his physique strength had greatly increased. Now, he had at least reached the 12th level. With the physique of a 12th level Saint Beast and the spirit of a 161st level Saint Beast. Coupled with the miraculous transformation art, how difficult could it be to tear apart the Heaven's Path Divine Mountain Barrier Formation? Tell me about the so-called myths and legends of your world. Yes. Xing Hui's heart trembled. The sword spirit of the 7-Star Demon Smelt Sword was clearly a spent force. Just like the sword spirits he had encountered on the Myriad Swords Peak before, most of their spirituality had already vanished from the corrosion of time. Even so, he was still able to raise his mental and physical strength by a large amount with ease. It was possible to imagine just how powerful the sword spirit was when he was at his peak. If we want to talk about the myths and legends of our world, we have to start from when Pangu created the world. Xing Hui organized his words and said. As he had noticed that the myths and legends of the divine wilderness world were somewhat similar to those of Earth, he specially went to learn about the ancient legends of Earth when he returned to Earth. Now that he was talking about these legends, his words were clear and orderly. While he was organizing his words, he didn't notice that after he talked about Pangu creating the world, the pupils of the 7-Star Sword Spirit in front of him shrank. However, he hid it so well that Xing Hui didn't sense any abnormalities at all. The 7-Star Demon Smelt Sword Spirit listened patiently as Xing Hui slowly narrated. From Pangu creating the world, Hongjun fighting Luo Ho, to the Dragon Phoenix Calamity, to the lichas and demons fighting for hegemony, a series of myths and legends were narrated clearly by Xing Hui, all the way to the modern era where Lu Boan slayed the dragon and the end of the world. When the 7-Star Sword Spirit heard Xing Hui's words, his expression became more and more solemn. When he finished talking about these myths and legends, he couldn't help but take a deep breath and stare at Xing Hui. You came from the source world. Impossible. This is impossible. The source world was sealed by the prime clear sage himself. As the last seed to preserve the immortal civilization, it's impossible for anyone to enter and exit it. The seven-star sword spirit's words made Xing Hui's heart skip a beat. The seal of the prime clear sage you mentioned, is it made up of a towering divine tree so tall that the top can't be seen? And the source of its energy is a piece of creation divine jade? I didn't follow the prime clear sage to set up the seal, so I don't know what the seal is made of. However, if you want to seal time and space, you can only rely on the power of the creation divine jade. The seven-star sword spirit looked at Xing Hui and opened his mouth, wanting to ask something. However, gradually, his expression became gloomy. The seal of the source world has dissipated. It looks like we've really lost. Completely lost. Xing Hui's heart tightened slightly. The seven-star demon smelt sword was the sword of the Grand Supreme Sage. Naturally, it was very familiar with the disappearance of the mythical civilization on Earth. In particular, according to it, Earth was actually the true god Axon, and the source world that everyone was looking for. This made him even more eager to know the truth. What happened? The source world. The Earth is the source world. What is the reason for this? Senior 7-star, please explain. The 7-star sword spirit shook his head and said with a trace of disappointment in his voice, the source world is the most secretive seed of the immortal civilization. It should be supported by the creation divine jade and supported by a formation. It is hidden in the turbulence of time and space. Not to mention space, even time will not leave any trace in it. However, although the source world is independent of space and time, it is also a completely sealed small world. It is impossible for any living beings to have any connection with the living beings of the outside world. Now, you, who came from the source world, have appeared in this world. This means that the source world must have been breached. If even the source world has been breached, then we have completely failed. What's going on? Although the world I live in is currently a little dangerous, we are still living well and have not been affected. You don't understand. The power of those creatures is far beyond your imagination, especially the three creatures who stand at the top. They can even play with time and space in the palm of their hand. They know the location of the source world, and after taking away what they want, you will not notice at all. I really don't understand, but as a member of the source world, I have the right to know what happened. Xing Hui said with certainty. The 7-star sword spirit looked at the determined Xing Hui and his expression dimmed. He shook his head, and although he did not want to say more, he still said, it was a war. What kind of war? A kind of war that neither you nor I can imagine. At that time, my cultivation was called Primordial Unity Golden Immortal and belonged to the 4th class of immortals. Above me were Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals, sage to be with great divine powers, and those saints who lived as long as the heavens and shone as brightly as the sun and the moon. However, in that war, I did not even have the right to participate in it. I could only watch from afar, pray, and hope. The other side of the war was the Master of Gods, the Master of Time, and the Master of Chaos. The Master of Gods, the Master of Time, and the Master of Chaos were only the most powerful individuals. There were other individuals who existed, after all, eternity. When the 7-star sword spirit said this, his expression was filled with endless sorrow. Eternity? What's eternity? A supreme existence. This kind of existence is invisible, unheard, unspeakable, and undetectable. The 7-star sword spirit said with a shake of his head. When the 7-star sword spirit said this, he shook his head sadly. This kind of life is too far away from me. I only heard a few words from the Grand Master. It is said that this is the ultimate pursuit of all life in the world. Therefore, this realm is also called the ultimate, the end of everything. Tsing Hui was silent. He was not even a true immortal now, and the seven-star sword spirit was already a primordial unity golden immortal of the fourth class of immortals. It was a realm that even he could not hope to reach. It was simply a pipe dream for him to try and understand it now. That war brought about endless fear and despair. I only know that at the beginning of the war, the battlefield was still in the outside world, but one day, the flames of war suddenly spread to the inner world. Later on, demi-saints fell one after another, and saints collapsed one after another. Even the old master was no exception. In the end, I only heard from the old master that as long as a trace of the immortal civilization was not destroyed, the saints would be immortal. As long as they were alive, they could rely on their immortality to return from the long river of time. Therefore, they created a source world that was independent of time and space. As long as the immortal civilization was not destroyed, the saints would not die. When the seven-star sword spirit said this, he glanced at Tsing Hui again. Tsing Hui represented the source world, which was independent of time and space. Logically speaking, it should not have any interaction with the outside world. However, now that Tsing Hui had walked out of the source world, this could only mean that the source world had been exposed. Its independent nature no longer existed, and the last spark of the immortal civilization had been extinguished by the radiation of the Master of Time, the Master of Gods, or the Master of Chaos. The source world is the last seed of the immortal civilization. Tsing Hui was silent. He didn't know how to respond. However, he understood what had happened from the seven-star sword spirit's words. As the seven-star sword spirit had said, it was a war. A war that had destroyed the entire immortal civilization. These people were fighting for the hope of attaining eternity. However, perhaps it was because Tsing Hui didn't have a deep understanding of the immortal civilization, or because he was strictly speaking a son of chaos under the command of the Master of Chaos, so he didn't feel much about the immortal civilization's destruction. It was fine as long as Earth wasn't in danger. Since the source world has been destroyed, the last piece of creation jade must have fallen into their hands. When the time comes, the immortal civilization's Tao will eventually be reformed, devoured, and refined into his Tao. This will give him a chance to step into the ultimate realm. However, I'm guessing that the other terrifying beings won't let this go so easily. The world is going to be in chaos. The seven-star sword spirit sighed. I don't have much time left anyway, so let it be. I'll just follow my master. Chapter 748. The Fortune Jade. Tsing Hui seemed to have thought of something when he heard the seven-star sword spirit mention the Fortune Jade. He quickly asked, "Wait a minute, the Fortune Jade? What does it have to do with the Fortune Jade?" The highest Lord once said that the great Tao is formless and gives birth to heaven and earth. The great Tao is emotionless and moves the sun and moon. The great Tao is nameless and nurtures all things. I don't know its name, so I named it Tao. The Tao is formless, has no rhyme, and is silent. Immortals and mortals cannot touch it. The Fortune Jade is the manifestation of the great Tao and contains 3,000 great Taos. The seven-star sword spirit looked desolate when he said this. If I'm not wrong, the Lord of Gods, the Lord of Time, and the Lord of Chaos are all collecting the Tao rhymes, and the like. There are traces of the great Tao recorded on them. Those top existences want to comprehend the mystery of these Tao rhymes and seize the opportunity to attain eternity. Indeed. The seven-star sword spirit said to Tsing Hui, "When I first saw you, I felt that you were quite intelligent and your sword will was pure. Your sword will is even close to the Tao of Zenith Heaven. In addition, my spirituality is on the verge of dissipating. If I don't nourish it, I'm afraid I won't live for more than a few thousand years. Therefore, I want to nurture you and help you attain Tao, then feed your sword will back to me and extend my lifespan. For this, I didn't hesitate to consume my essence and fuse it into your body to stimulate the potential in your body. Unfortunately, the immortal civilization has been defeated. Even if you can become a Zenith Heaven Sword immortal, you're still just a drop in the ocean when looking at the big picture. Rather than that, you might as well continue on your current path of cultivation. At least you won't be labeled as a sword immortal cultivator and face death. Xing Hui was silent when he heard the 7-star sword spirit's words. He didn't expect the fortune jade in his possession to have such an origin. Great beings like the Lord of Chaos, the Lord of Gods, and the Lord of Time were all looking for the fortune jade. If any one of them obtained the fortune jade, an unprecedented war would break out over it. Just think of the Lord of Time, its power could radiate for 100,000 light-years. What kind of level was this? Now that he had broken through to the void interpretation stage, he might be able to fly at a speed of 300,000 to 400,000 kilometers per hour. However, if he wanted to fly a distance of 1 light-year, it would take him an entire 3,000 years. Even if he flew until his death, he might not be able to complete the distance. As for 100,000 light-years, he could no longer imagine it with his mind. Therefore, he really didn't dare to mention the secret that he possessed the fortune divine jade to the old man in front of him. Therefore, he could only say, cultivating the sword immortal Tao won't necessarily be labeled as an immortal Tao civilization, right? I'm very interested in the cultivation techniques of sword immortals, and I even obtained the 49 cultivation techniques of the sword Qi of Shushan by chance. Senior, please give me some pointers. 49 Great Derivation Sword Qi Cultivation Methods. The 7-star sword spirit frowned. Senior, please take a look. Xing Hui took out the sword Qi cultivation method and handed it to the 7-star sword spirit. Although the 7-star sword spirit had very little power left in him at the moment, he was still a peak primordial unity golden immortal in the past. When he took the 49 Great Derivation Sword Qi from Xing Hui and took a look, he immediately frowned. Where did you get this sword Qi cultivation method? It looks passable in the beginning, but it's a bunch of nonsense towards the end. Feeding sword Qi with the human body's essence is evil. The 7-star sword spirit immediately criticized. Is this sword Qi not good enough? The 7-star sword spirit glanced at Xing Hui and pondered for a moment. After a while, he said, if this sword Qi was placed in our time, it would be considered evil, but with your current situation, it may be possible to cultivate it. After all, this is a sword Qi cultivation method that can only be cultivated up to the level of true immortal, or even false immortal. Below the level of true immortal, it's fine even if you embark on the path of immortal civilization. But once you become an immortal, it proves that you've obtained the inheritance of immortal Tao and have embarked on the path of immortal Tao. At that time, it won't be so easy to get out of it. Although the sword Qi cultivation method is amazing, it's simply too arrogant. The hope of becoming a true immortal is very slim. The hope of becoming a true immortal is very slim. Xing Hui frowned. I can slightly modify it for you. In this way, the hope of becoming a true immortal will be greatly increased. At the same time, it can also make up for the drawbacks of being labeled as immortal Tao. At this point, the 7-star sword spirit suddenly stopped. Since when was the immortal Tao, which countless people dreamed of pursuing, seen as a drawback? After a long while, he let out a bitter sigh. Xing Hui came from the source world and could be considered as part of their inheritance. In addition, he had already promised Xing Hui. Now, it was better to modify it slightly, than abandon the sword, seal it, and wait for death in seclusion. Thinking of this, the 7-star sword spirit picked up the 49 Great Derivation Sword Qi again with an indifferent expression. The reason why I said that the 49 Great Derivation Sword Qi had gone down the wrong path is because it requires one's essence, energy, and spirit to nourish the sword. Essence, energy, and spirit are the 3 treasures of cultivation and are extremely important. How can it be used so easily? If it's used up too much, it will damage the foundation, and there will be no hope of becoming an immortal. However, under the circumstances of not pursuing the immortal Tao, this sword qi is still quite powerful after forming a sword formation. However, his idea of using the 49 great Taos to cultivate into the formation was a fool's dream. The great Taos were formless and traceless. Even people like the Master of Gods and the Master of Time were not confident that they could comprehend the mysteries of the great Taos, let alone these mere mortals. They are truly frogs in a well, thinking that fortune and opportunity will come at them as soon as they open their mouths. Therefore, I can't be bothered to modify the sword formation. I'll focus on the blood essence Tao for you. Blood essence? Yes, the territory we're in belongs to the Lord of Chaos. Although these people are considered enemies of the immortal Tao, it's undeniable that their cultivation is truly shocking. For example, the Lord of Chaos has already cultivated his own Tao to the extreme. The divine beast bloodline he passed down is also extremely powerful. Otherwise, the 12 divine beast ancestors wouldn't have become traitors. The modification method I'll give you is to collect the blood of a certain top divine beast and use it to refine the sword qi to make up for your own shortcomings. Since the sword qi's foundation is still your essence, energy, and spirit, after the sword qi is refined with the divine beast's blood essence, you can use the power of the sword qi to refine yourself. This way, your physical strength will increase, but correspondingly, you will gradually be influenced by the divine beast's temperament. It can be fierce, cruel, or indifferent. Temperament will be influenced by divine beasts, it mainly depends on how you maintain this degree of control. If you cultivate a body tempering technique and let your own blood essence take the lead, the divine beasts and sacred beasts' influence on you will naturally be much smaller. At the very least, before you reach the true immortal realm, which is the divine beast bloodline cultivation path, the world creation realm, there won't be too much of a problem. I understand. Qing Su seemed to think of something when he reached there. He asked out of curiosity, logically speaking, true immortals and those below true immortals belong to two completely different realms, so why is it that the cultivation system of the divine beasts actually refers to realms like world creation traversing as the 6 divine realms, while realms above world creation are called the 6 chaotic realms? In the end, it's just that the systems are different. The 7-star sword spirit said faintly, before the divine beast bloodline's world creation realm, they can switch to other realms. However, once they step into the chaos realm, then they have no choice but to continue on this path. This phenomenon is mainly related to the first realm of chaos. This realm requires the cultivator to trace the origin of the divine beasts that they cultivate. The origin of these divine beasts fuses with the chaos and is turned into the precepts, becoming an existence similar to Tao, an existence similar to Tao. That's right. The 12 divine beasts are the 12 great Taos that the Chaos Master peeled off from himself for convenience. Once you reach the Chaos realm and trace back to your ancestors, it's equivalent to attaining Tao and combining Tao. Just like the 12 ancestral sorcerers in the myths and legends. Before we step into the Chaos realm, we may have cultivated the sorcerer's cultivation method, but we are not sorcerers. However, the moment we achieve chaos, it's equivalent to transforming our life form from human to sorcerer. As long as we continue to purify our own bloodline, we can become great sorcerers and ancestral sorcerers. The 7-star sword spirit looked at Xing Hui in surprise and finally nodded, that's right, that's true. Moreover, the 12 divine beasts under the Master of Chaos, the 12 Master Gods under the King of Gods, and the Master of Time's 1024 King of Eons are all of this nature. The 12 ancestral sorcerers, thinking of the 12 ancestral sorcerers, Xing Hui could not help but think of Pangu, who created the chaos world. The 3 great beings allowed their subordinates to imitate the 12 ancestral sorcerers, trace back to Pangu. The great ancestor, Pan. The 7-star sword spirit lowered his head slightly, as if mentioning this name had to be filled with reverence. Why? It's just a possibility that came from the mouth of those foreign creatures. The great ancestor, Pan, transcended everything and reached the legendary end, becoming the eternity that billions of creatures pursue. Once he achieved eternity, it seemed that he would transcend to a realm that we can't describe with words. In that realm, we are like the characters in books and biographies in our eyes, endless and meaningless. The great ancestor, Pan, did not want to erase all traces of himself, so he returned to the moment before he achieved eternity and separated his past from time and space, turning it into the vast chaos world. Pangu, Pangu, Gu, also means ancient, the past body of ancestor Pan. This is also the reason why those terrifying foreign creatures want to trace back to Pan and obtain our world. After all, if they can trace back to ancestor Pan with this world, they may be able to witness the moment before ancestor Pan achieved eternity with their own eyes. At that time, eternity will be close at hand for them. However, this is only hearsay, because there is a refutation in this rumor. A living eternity cannot see another living eternity, so I can't explain the specifics. After the seven-star sword spirit finished speaking, he waved his hand, unwilling to continue on this topic. Alright, go back and meditate on it. Just pay attention to your progress. The power of the sword chi refined cannot exceed your own by more than 49 times. That is to say, any sword chi, one-on-one, cannot exceed the sum of your essence chi. Otherwise, it will be putting the cart before the horse, and your temperament will change drastically. Xing Hui nodded. These were too far away for him, so it was meaningless to listen. He might as well take the opportunity to ask more about cultivation. I am equivalent to the life sword chi that suppresses the entire situation. When the seven-star sword spirit heard this, he was slightly stunned, but still nodded. That's a good way to put it. I understand. Xing Hui's current physical strength was equivalent to that of a 12th level sacred beast. In that case, the essence chi of each of the 49 Dian sword chis that he cultivated would be maintained below that of a 12th level sacred beast. However, this did not mean that the 49 Dian sword chis were only equivalent to 40 Hydra sacred beasts. Don't forget, the essence chi was only a part of the 49 Dian sword chis. It also included the two major attributes such as primordial chi and spiritual energy. When these three attributes were combined, it could definitely push his sword chi to a level that was not weaker than the divine realm. In other words, he alone was equivalent to 49 divine beings. If he used these 49 sword chis to form a sword formation, even a void-shattering expert would have to avoid the attack. The power is indeed not bad. However, my spiritual energy level has already broken through to the 160th level. In a head-on fight, I am not inferior to a void-shattering expert. If I use the transformation technique, when Xing Hui thought of this, he immediately relaxed. He understood that the moment his spiritual energy level reached the 160th level, the problem of the way of heaven was basically solved. Chapter 749. Unfortunately, my time in the Xiaya Empire is too short, and I don't have much time and talent to study spirit techniques and secret spirit techniques. Otherwise, with my current spirit strength, it should be easy to tear apart the void with my spirit. With the help of secret spirit techniques, I can even defeat all the practitioners below the vacuum-shattering realm. Xing Hui discovered that his talent in spirit refinement was not very outstanding. If he was placed in the Xiaya Empire to practice the spirit ability system without any foundation, he estimated that he would only be a mid-level spirit ability user when he died of old age. Okay, you can go now. The seven-star sword spirit waved his hand dispiritedly. Then I won't disturb Senior 7-star anymore. Goodbye. Xing Hui bowed slightly and left. Seeing Xing Hui leave, the seven-star sword spirit stayed in his palace with empty eyes, speechless for a long time. At this moment, the long torment finally came to an end. He didn't want to verify it, nor did he dare to verify it. Since he had waited for the result, the torment in his heart could finally end. After witnessing with his own two eyes the fall of those lofty and mighty existences in his heart, he'd already lost all his previous lofty ambitions. He was just a small Tai sword spirit. That's all. Then, that's it. Tsing Hui walked out along the path in front of him. He was now inside the Myriad Swords Peak, but the entire Myriad Swords Peak was filled with omnipresent space laws. These space laws were densely packed and intertwined with each other. They were much more compact than the space laws outside, but in terms of stability, they couldn't be compared to the outside world. Tsing Hui muttered to himself. This was a world similar to a grotto heaven. However, compared to the Shushan grotto heaven and Kunlun grotto heaven that spanned thousands of kilometers, the world formed by the seven-star sword spirit was undoubtedly much smaller. This world was probably too much for the seven-star sword spirit. Tsing Hui came out of this world and happened to appear on the Myriad Swords Peak. However, when he arrived at the Myriad Swords Peak, he was surprised to find that there were many people there. Not only Hidden Sword Venerable, but even Hidden Truth Exalted, who was supposed to be in the sky, was there too. As Tsing Hui appeared, Hidden Sword Venerable, Zhongzhen Exalted, and the others were stunned. In the next moment, they rushed over and said, "Tsing Hui, you've finally come out of seclusion. That great sword spirit actually let you stay for so long." Tsing Hui's heart skipped a beat as he hurriedly asked, "How long have I been in the Myriad Swords Peak?" Not that long, just 4 years. But you haven't been cultivating for that long, and we haven't been able to contact you in the Chaos Temple. That's why we were a little worried. But as Hidden Sword Venerable said, "You're fine, that's great." 4 years. Tsing Hui's heart trembled when he heard this. 4 years had actually passed. Just like that, a quarter of his 16-year deadline had passed just like that. But he clearly felt that he had not spent much time with the seven-star sword spirit. Wait a minute. Tsing Hui recalled every moment when he struggled to wake up from the nightmare. At that time, not only was he mentally weak, but his body was also extremely weak. That kind of weakness, one of the reasons was that he had overexerted himself. Another reason was that he had not eaten for too long. 4 years. He had actually been in a coma for 4 whole years. 4 years was nothing to the seven-star sword spirit, so he did not even mention it. But to Tsing Hui, it was extremely important. It's actually been 4 years. It's only 4 years, it's nothing. Sometimes, when we're in seclusion to study certain secret techniques, we'll be in seclusion for decades at a time. Hidden Sword Venerable comforted. In order to comprehend the limitless sword Tao, he had spent hundreds of years cultivating it. That was equivalent to the total amount of time Tsing Hui had spent cultivating it. "Tsing Hui. Have you met the great sword spirit? Do you know?" Hidden Sword Venerable asked hesitantly. "I'll pass on the sword technique that the sword spirit gave me to you. However, Sword Venerable, this sword technique. I'm afraid it's not suitable for you. You'll have to spend more effort to polish it." It's fine. As long as I can see this supreme sword technique, I'll die without regrets. I don't ask for anything else." Hidden Sword Venerable quickly waved his hand. "Tsing Hui, it's great that you're fine. I'll pass on the news to Zhu Zhao, Tian Xiong, Bai Heng, Xing Yi, and Cheng Ying." As Hidden Sword Venerable Master spoke, he had already split a portion of his consciousness into the Chaos Temple. When Tsing Hui followed Hidden Sword Venerable Master to the Hidden Sword Sect, he had also split a portion of his consciousness into the Chaos Temple. Due to the fact that he had set up a constant flow of energy from the Fortune Jade into the Sun of Chaos, he was able to maintain his chaotic level. As a result, he was still at the astonishing 70th level of the chaotic level. Moreover, apart from the 70th level, the accumulation of Taoist rhymes in the creation divine jade had reached close to 6,000. That's right. In addition to maintaining the chaotic level, his Taoist rhymes had increased by 4 per day for 4 years. The Taoist rhymes on his creation divine jade had reached 6,000. If this number were to spread out, it would be simply sensational. The creation divine jade. Xing Hui looked at the Taoist rhymes in the creation divine jade. Not only did he not feel happy, but he also felt a sense of dread. The divine creation jade was a supreme divine treasure that supreme existences like the Master of Chaos, the Master of Time, and the Master of Gods were trying to find. Yet now, it was in the hands of a nobody like him who couldn't even be considered as a true immortal. Once it was exposed to the outside world, it would absolutely cause an unprecedented storm. Even, he wondered if his Son of Chaos level would attract the attention of the Master of Chaos. If the Master of Chaos really set his sights on him, he couldn't guarantee that the creation divine jade hidden in his spiritual world would be able to fool him. More than 6,000 Taoist rhymes is not a small number. I have to use it as soon as possible. Immortal techniques immediately flowed through Xing Hui's mind. He now understood that the creation divine jade contained 3,000 great Daos and was a carrier of them. Although the creation divine jade in his hand was not complete, its ability to deduce and assist in the cultivation of immortal techniques was incredible. It was no wonder that he could improve by leaps and bounds with the help of the creation divine jade when cultivating immortal techniques that were difficult to understand. Now that there were close to 6,000 Taoist rhymes in the creation divine jade, he had to use them all and convert them into his own strength as soon as possible. Otherwise, the interface of the Son of Chaos would constantly remind him that he had close to 6,000 Taoist rhymes. After a long time, who knew if the Master of Chaos, whose power radiated across billions of galaxies, would cast his sights on him because of this abnormality. Sword Venerable, under the guidance of the Great Sword Spirit, I still have some insights in my heart. I still need to go into seclusion for a while. I'm afraid I won't be able to discuss the mystery of the 49 Great Derivation Sword Chi with you during this time. After returning to the Hidden Sword Sect, Xing Hui said with a regretful expression. You still want to go into seclusion? Zhang Zhen, who had followed him, could not help but be a little stunned when he heard Xing Hui's words. However, after a moment, he had already realized that he had lost his composure and hurriedly said, yes, yes, yes. You've received guidance from the Great Sword Spirit. Now is the critical moment of comprehending the sword technique. You should go into seclusion to digest and consolidate it. Although Zhang Zhen's abnormality was quickly concealed, Xing Hui still noticed it. He immediately asked, Zhang Zhen, what's wrong? Is there something wrong? It's not a big deal. Zhang Zhen hesitated for a moment, but felt that there was no point in concealing it any longer since he had already revealed a flaw. He immediately sighed, in the past 4 years, our heaven wasteland domain has not been peaceful. Not peaceful. Is it not peaceful to the extent that there are people who have designs on our heaven domain 4 sects? 4 years ago, of course they did not have the guts. The heavenly Tao was scared by us and went into hiding. The eternal and divine wilderness were also afraid of you and Zhu Zhao, and did not dare to easily offend us. However, a year ago, the situation changed. Hearing this, Xing Hui saw the worried look on Zhang Zhen's face, and his heart skipped a beat. Someone has broken through to the shattering vacuum realm. The heavenly Tao? The eternal? Or the divine wilderness? Chaos Holy Man of the heavenly Tao was forced out of his closed-door training at a critical moment, so his breakthrough to the void-shattering realm was delayed. However, Eternal Emperor Tai and Divine Lord Primordial Wilderness of the Divine Wilderness were not disturbed by anyone. They both stepped into the void-shattering realm a year ago and 3 months ago. The Great Emperor Tai won, the Divine Wilderness. Qing Su was rather surprised when he heard that, but he did not feel any fear or dread. Although the 7-star sword spirit did not teach him much in the past 4 years, it had stimulated his life potential and raised his physique from level 10 to level 12, 2 whole levels. In addition, his mental strength had soared from level 149 to level 160, which was a number above the void-shattering realm. With these changes, he was confident that he could defeat any void-shattering realm expert from Taiyin Ancient Baron even if he did not use the shape-shifting art. If he used the shape-shifting art as well, the great Emperor Taiwan and the Divine Wilderness are really lucky. Logically speaking, the chaotic Tao Master should be the first to break through to the shattering vacuum realm. However, after our interference, they have seized the opportunity. However, even if the great Emperor Taiwan and the Divine Wilderness have broken through to the shattering vacuum realm, they should not dare to act rashly to attack our Heaven Domain 4 sects. After all, I have the transformation technique. Under the situation that the Heavenly Tao is a great enemy, they should not act rashly and make new enemies. Xing Hui asked. However, Master Tsongjin sighed. Your guess is logically correct, but the spies should not have leaked the news that we have the heart of the world in the Heaven Domain 4 sects. All these years, the Eternals have been trying to find ways to collect void crystals and other items. When they learned that we had the World Core, 2 months ago, Emperor Tai personally came to ask for it. In the end, esteemed Zhu Zhao stepped forward and fought with him. If it weren't for Sword Master Bai Heng and Sword Master Qingying rushing over to help, and the fact that our Sky Dome Mountain's protective array is somewhat powerful, I'm afraid esteemed Zhu Zhao would have met his end. Chapter 750. The Heart of the World. Xing Hui's expression darkened slightly. He naturally understood why the Eternity wanted the heart of the world. The teleportation array. They wanted to use the heart of the Eternity to activate the teleportation array. Once the teleportation array was activated, the Eternity would receive reinforcements from the world behind it. At that time, they didn't need to be too strong. They only needed to send an expert who had cultivated the divine true body to suppress all resistance in the divine wilderness. The Eternity, Xing Hui's expression turned cold. Has the Eternity attacked Sky Dome recently? Yes. 2 months ago, after Emperor Tai Yi consolidated his vacuum-shattering cultivation, he led many experts of the Eternity to attack Sky Dome in a futile attempt to crush us in one fell swoop. At this point, Master Tsongjin's expression became somewhat angry. However, at the critical moment, Divine Venerable Ancient Wilderness intervened and stopped Emperor Tai Yi. Although Divine Venerable Ancient Wilderness broke through to the vacuum-shattering realm a few months later than Emperor Tai Yi, strictly speaking, they were new vacuum-shattering realm cultivators and didn't make much use of the laws. In addition, we had esteemed Zhu Zhao on our side, who could be considered half a vacuum-shattering realm cultivator, so we repelled the Eternity once again. However, if I'm not wrong, the Eternity must have contacted the Heavenly Tao recently. The next time they attack us, the Heavenly Tao will definitely not miss this opportunity to hit them when they're down. The Divine Wilderness. Xing Hui didn't have much of a good impression of the Divine Wilderness. I'm afraid the Divine Wilderness doesn't have any good intentions in helping Sky Dome, right? Yes, the Divine Wilderness is actually eyeing the heart of the world of our Sky Dome. 2 months ago, they were still trying to persuade us with good words and reason. However, not long ago, they learned that the Eternity had allied with the Heavenly Tao, and Xing Hui, a supreme expert, hadn't appeared for a long time. They immediately threatened us, saying that if we didn't hand over the heart of the world to them, they would collude with the Heavenly Tao and the Eternity to destroy the 4 sects of Sky Dome first before discussing with the Heavenly Tao and the Eternity about how to divide the heart of the world. At this point, Master Tsongjin's expression was already filled with anger and grievance. Destroy Sky Dome first. Xing Hui's expression turned cold. Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue by bragging? But now, they do have the ability to crush the vacuum. Compared to the Saint Realm, they're much more powerful. Sword Shadow's Sword Master Profound Comprehension was killed by Emperor Tai in one blow. If Sword Shadow's Sword Master hadn't been there and snatched his body back, Sword Master Profound Comprehension would have been dead by now. There was a deep sense of helplessness in Master Tsongjin's tone. Sword Master Tsongjin was silent for a moment, and then said, Xing Hui, regarding this matter, you have to act according to your ability. Although you can transform into the Kunpeng, you can't last for long. The two void-shattering experts of the eternal and divine wilderness realms only need to choose to avoid their attacks to delay your transformation. Without the transformation, you may not be able to fight against void-shattering experts, especially when it comes to the ultimate sword way. You have enough offensive power, but not enough defensive power. If you're not careful, you'll be in danger of dying. Since you've comprehended it under the guidance of that great sword spirit, I think you should go into seclusion and study it. It won't be too late to avenge your humiliation after you make a breakthrough in your cultivation. Master Tsongjin obviously also understood that Xing Hui was unable to fight against a true void-shattering expert. He nodded and said, "Sword Master Tsongjin is right, you should cultivate as soon as possible. At worst, we can temporarily withdraw from the Heaven Wasteland realm. As long as there's life, there's hope. The Divine Wilderness realm is so big, if we hide in those places, it won't be easy for them to find us. And whether it's you or Zhu Zhao, if either of you can make a breakthrough and reach the void-shattering level, it will be the time for us to take revenge." Xing Hui shook his head, "We're an organization of chaos, we don't have a fixed residence. We can retreat, but the Rainbow Sword sect and the Black Flame sect can't. If we retreat, the two sects that have joined our alliance will definitely be uprooted. At that time, even if they can make a comeback, what's the point? Sects can be rebuilt, as long as we can protect the people, we." "Well, Master, you don't have to persuade me. Although I've been listening to the sword spirit for the past 4 years, this doesn't mean that my cultivation hasn't made any progress. Void-shattering level? Let me deal with them for a while." Xing Hui then asked, "Do you have the blood of a 4th-level Saint Realm Kunpeng?" 4th-level Saint Realm? Master Tsongjin was shocked. "Xing Hui, can your body withstand the power of a 4th-level Saint Realm Kunpeng? It shouldn't be difficult for a while." Xing Hui's words were filled with confidence, and at the same time, he circulated the qi and blood power in his body. In fact, with his battle strength, even if he didn't transform into the divine beast Kunpeng, he was still confident that he could defeat a void-shattering expert. However, defeating him was one thing, killing or even capturing him alive was another. He was still in seclusion, trying to convert nearly 6,000 Taoist rhythms into immortal arts as soon as possible. He didn't have the time or energy to waste on guerrilla warfare with Emperor Tai and Divine Lord Primordial. Thus, the best solution was to transform into a 4th-level divine beast, the Kunpeng, and deal with the threat of eternity and divine wilderness with a single fatal blow. Good. Master Tsongjin sensed the faint pressure that Xing Hui emitted when he circulated the qi and blood power in his body. "Your physique has reached the 12th level of a Saint Realm beast. With such a physique, your ability to withstand the power of the divine beast Kunpeng will definitely reach a higher level. The divine beast blood is personally safeguarded by Master Tsongjin, and not only do we have the blood of 3rd level and 4th level Saint Realm Kunpengs, but we also have the blood of 5th level and 6th level Saint Realm Kunpengs. We have specially prepared these over the years. Alright, let's not delay any longer. Let's head to Tianhuang now. I'll go with you. Let's see if I can be of any help when the time comes." Master Tsongjin said. Master Tsongjin was overjoyed to hear this. It's great that Master Tsongjin is willing to go. Although the hidden sword Venerable's cultivation had its drawbacks, he could be used as a saint stage expert most of the time. The effect was definitely not inferior to that of the Lan Rui sword saint. With his help, the 4-sect alliance could be considered to have gained a powerful ally. To one side, Qing Su did not want the venerable hidden sword to risk his life again. However, considering that he could deal with this matter successfully, there was no need for him to turn down the venerable hidden sword's kindness. He immediately agreed, "All right then. I'll have to trouble the venerable hidden sword and the venerable hidden sword to enter my personal space." As he spoke, he had already contacted the Sons of Chaos in the Sky Dome encampment. After putting them into his personal space, he also obtained the coordinates of the Sky Dome encampment. Using the backtracking technique, he directly activated the incarnation technique and crossed the distance of millions of kilometers between the hidden Sword Continent and Tianhuang to land in the Sky Dome encampment. At this time, the Sky Dome encampment was heavily guarded, as if they were facing a great enemy. Not only were all the formations activated, but there were also reinforcements from the Rainbow Sword Sect, the Sword Shadow Sect, and the Black Flame Sect. Every one of the top experts with powerful auras shuttled back and forth in the Sky Dome encampment, keeping an eye out for any changes in the outside world. If there were any changes, they would definitely immediately enter their respective positions to support the power of the formation and destroy all the invaders. When Qing Su appeared above the outskirts of the Heaven's Domain encampment, everyone's gazes still gathered on him as soon as possible, even though the Heaven's Domain Master had instructed them to do so beforehand, just in case something went wrong. When they saw that it was Tsing Hui, the experts from the Sky Dome encampment, the Sword Shadow Sect, the Black Flame Sect, and the Sword Shadow Sect cheered at the same time. During this period of time, they had been suppressed by the Eternity encampment because they did not have the power to shatter vacuum. Anyone, even if they were as strong as a saint, would inevitably be attacked by the opponent's vacuum-shattering experts as soon as they left the coverage of the Sky Dome encampment. If their reaction was even half a beat slower, no matter if they were a saint or a great being, only death would await them. Now, with the arrival of Tsing Hui, they finally had an expert who could fight against the opponent's vacuum-shattering experts. Even if Tsing Hui's vacuum-shattering experts could only be considered a dabbler and could only erupt for a few dozen breaths, at least they were no longer as passive as before, unable to fight back at all. As Tsing Hui entered the hall of the Sky Dome encampment, the shadow-bearing Sword Master, the mystery-understanding Sword Master, the suffering true God, Master Tsang Zhen, Master Zhu Zhao, and Master Bai Heng, who had heard the news, all walked out. Sword Master Tsing Hui. Sword Master Tsing Hui is here. Now we can finally live a better life. Divine beasts of the same realm are much stronger than human cultivators. Although Tsing Hui's transformation technique can't be compared to a real Kunpeng, with the Kunpeng's advantage in speed and space, I believe Emperor Tai won't dare to be so arrogant in the future. Seeing Tsing Hui in person, these saint leaders from the four major sects were relieved. "Sorry, I'm late," Tsing Hui said. "We should be the ones apologizing. You couldn't go into seclusion to digest the guidance of the powerful sword spirit because of the Sky Dome encampment." Master Zhu Zhao had a trace of guilt on his face. "All these years, I've been trying to comprehend the heart of the world, but for some reason, my understanding of the law of space has always been a little lacking, and I can't really break through the threshold of the vacuum-shattering realm. If I could step into the vacuum-shattering realm, I wouldn't have delayed your cultivation." Master Zhu Zhao, don't blame yourself. As a member of the Sky Dome encampment, it's my duty to help when the Sky Dome encampment is in trouble, Tsing Hui said. Hearing Tsing Hui's words, everyone nodded with relief. Next, let's discuss how to deal with the Eternal's attack, and how to deal with the four-sect alliance if the Eternal and the Heavenly Tao join forces to attack us. Master Tsang Zhen said. No need to go through so much trouble. Tsing Hui's gaze fell on Master Tsang Zhen. The Kunpeng blood is in your hands, right? Leave it to me. I'll take advantage of their unpreparedness to attack the Eternal and end it once and for all. Chapter 751. Enter the Eternal Realm directly. Sword Master Tsing Hui, isn't this a bit too rash? Although you can transform into the Divine Beast Kunpeng and rely on the Divine Beast's innate ability to crush a acoustic-level powerhouse, the duration is too short. Eternal relies on the power of the formation to slightly entangle you. He may not be able to completely delay the duration of your transformation technique. The Firmament Master was a bit worried. However, Zhangzhen Master, who came with Tsing Hui, could not wait to announce the good news. A scholar who has been away for 3 days must be looked at with new eyes. It's not like you don't know Tsing Hui's cultivation speed. It can be said that 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. Now, 4 years have passed. Emperor Tai Yi and Supreme God Gu Huang have broken through to vacuum-shattering realm. Do you think Xing Hui is still the same as before? Now, just by relying on the strength of his body alone, he is comparable to a 12th level sacred beast. Now, let alone a 3rd level divine beast Kunpeng, even a 4th level divine beast Kunpeng can last for a while. 4th level divine beast Kunpeng. Hearing Zhangzhen Master's somewhat showy words, everyone's eyes lit up. They all looked at Xing Hui expectantly. Sword Master Xing Hui, you can really transform into a 16th level sacred beast? Xing Hui nodded. This is also why I'm confident that I don't care about the threat of the eternal realm. If Emperor Tai Yi had broken through to the 4th level of the divine realm and condensed the divine true body, it would be better. But if he's only at vacuum-shattering realm, it's not worth mentioning at all. Good. Sword Master Qingying solemnly agreed. Sword Master Xing Hui, Sword Master Qingying, have never really admired anyone in my life. But I really admire you, Sword Master Xing Hui. Back then, when you burst out with battle strength not inferior to that of a supreme expert, it was already an eye-opener for us. Then, when you transformed into a divine beast Kunpeng and tore apart Chaos Holy Man's Chaos Realm, it was even more overwhelming. Now, only 4 years have passed and you've become so strong that you can destroy an eternal realm and a divine wilderness realm by yourself. This ability really amazes me. No wonder you're called the Supreme Sword Master. Everyone in the Sword Shadow basically focused on their cultivation of the sword. Even though their so-called way of the sword was basically just using swords as weapons, they still considered themselves a sect of the way of the sword, so they had some thoughts about surpassing the sovereign of the Green Ruins path of the sword to some degree. However, they could not say it out loud due to the fact that they were allies, so all they could do was secretly work harder on their cultivation so that they could catch up. But at this moment, when Xing Hui casually claimed that he could enter the eternal realm and kill Emperor Tai Yi, Sword Master Qingying finally had nothing to say. He was completely convinced and no longer secretly worked hard to surpass Xing Hui. Sword Master Qingying, you flatter me. Xing Hui said modestly. There's no time to lose. Give me the blood of the divine beast Kunpeng and I'll go to the eternal realm. Okay. After knowing Xing Hui's true combat strength, Sword Master Qingying didn't stop him and directly took out all the blood of the Kunpeng from the 3rd to the 6th level of the divine realm. Divine beast blood was different from divine beast blood essence. Its value was much lower. Even the blood of the Kunpeng at the 6th level of the divine realm wouldn't cost more than 100 Daoist rhymes. With Sword Master Qingying's current foundation, it wasn't difficult for him to collect some. After handing the blood of the divine beast blood to Xing Hui, Sword Master Qingying hesitated for a moment and asked in a low voice, Xing Hui, according to what you said, your transformation technique is still there. Does that mean your chaotic level hasn't fallen? Yes. You should know that I've obtained a lot of Daoist treasures in the past few years, but I haven't squandered them. Then have you seen your Chaos Treasure Pavilion in the past 4 years? Venerable Master Firmament said, his eyes filled with anticipation. Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Xing Hui was slightly stunned, but he soon understood. New products would usually appear in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion within 3 years. Some faster products would appear in half a year or even a few months. Now, 4 years had passed. Xing Hui immediately diverted a portion of his consciousness to the Chaos Treasure Pavilion at the edge of the Chaos Treasure Pavilion in his personal space. He quickly scanned the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Indeed, as Sword Master Qingying had said, new products had appeared in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. He quickly looked at the many new items that had appeared. Originator. Originator. If I can get another originator. Xing Hui scanned the items one by one. He didn't even have time to look at the specific effects of the items in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. He quickly looked through all 10 items. Unfortunately, Xing Hui looked at Sword Master Qingying, who was full of anticipation. In the end, he could only shake his head regretfully. "Sorry, I don't have what you want." "If you don't have it, then you don't have it." Sword Master Chengying smiled bitterly. "Actually, I know that I'm overthinking. It's not easy for such a supreme existence to appear. Moreover, with the price of such a supreme treasure, even if it really appears, with Sword Master Chengying's current wealth, we might not be able to buy it even if we sold all our assets." Tsing Hui also felt a little regretful when he heard that. Although it was very difficult for Sword Master Chengying to gather enough Taoist rhymes to buy the originator was equivalent to infinite possibilities. If he had the originator in the heart of the world, it would only take 10 years for more than half of the sages present to step into the void-shattering realm. Wait a minute. Just as Tsing Hui was about to give up, he suddenly thought of something. The Chaos Treasure Pavilion appeared at the 30th level. At that time, there were also 10 items, but the quality of those items was relatively low. Most of them were at the first 3 levels of the divine realm. Occasionally, there would be 1 or 2 treasures that could be useful to experts at the 4th or 5th level of the divine realm. As the level of the Chaos Treasure Pavilion increased, when the Son of Chaos reached the 45th level, the items in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion underwent a mutation. After the mutation, not only did the Chaos Treasure Pavilion produce 30 items, but there were also significant improvements in quality. Although there were still 3 or 4 items that corresponded to the first 3 levels of the divine realm, the remaining 5 or 6 items corresponded to the 4th to 6th levels of the divine realm. Based on this deduction, after the Son of Chaos reached the 60th level, the Chaos Treasure Pavilion would produce 10 items, but only for the first 3 levels of the divine realm. What if the Chaos Treasure Pavilion increased to the 75th level? Would there be 30 supreme treasures at once, and the quality of those treasures would increase greatly? With that thought in mind, Tsing Hui couldn't wait to try it out. He still had nearly 6,000 Taoist aura items on him, and his Chaos Treasure Pavilion had reached the 77th level. Increasing it to the 75th level would only waste 500 Taoist aura. He could afford to waste such a small amount of Taoist aura. Wait a moment. After Tsing Hui finished speaking, his gaze was already focused on the Son of Chaos. Buzz buzz. Following the subtle changes in the Son of Chaos's level, the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, which had been stuck at the 77th level for several years, directly rose to the 71st level. With the increase in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, Tsing Hui's gaze swept across the many characteristics one by one. In the end, he chose to add this characteristic to the new characteristic derived from the Chaos Treasure Pavilion at the 77th level, the stagnation skill. It was a characteristic that could allow a certain characteristic to have no cooldown. If this characteristic was used properly with other characteristics, it could even produce a reversal effect. After using this Chaos Treasure Pavilion, Tsing Hui once again focused his attention on the Son of Chaos interface and raised the Chaos Treasure Pavilion to the 72nd level. Now, the Taoist aura produced by the creation Divine Jade is enough to support the daily consumption of the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. In this way, I won't let the Chaos Treasure Pavilion fall below the 60th level. In that case, I have to be careful when using these Chaos Treasures. It had to be said that as Tsing Hui's Chaos Treasure Pavilion increased, more and more characteristics were derived. The Chaos Treasure Pavilion was completely insufficient. Not to mention those few basic characteristics, there were the Rank 5 Advancement Skill, Rank 10 Sacred Skill, Rank 15 Divine Protection Skill, Rank 20 Resurrection Skill, Rank 25 Incarnation Skill, Rank 30 Teleportation Skill, Rank 35 Deduction Skill, Rank 40 Backtracking Skill, Rank 45 Sensing Skill, Rank 50 Transformation Skill, Rank 55 Mirror Skill, Rank 60 Dimensional Lock Skill, Rank 65 Chaos Skill, and Rank 70 Stagnation Skill. These characteristics were each more powerful and terrifying than the last. Compared to the characteristics derived later on, recovery, personal space, talent, luck, and appraisal were not worth mentioning. Transformation skill is enough for now. Dimensional lock and backtracking skill work well together. If I want to upgrade dimensional lock, I'm afraid I'll have to upgrade backtracking skill. As for mirror skill, backtracking to the future has amazing effects, but it doesn't mean much to me. I don't want to find anyone now. Xing Hui looked at the Chaos Treasure Pavilion and Stagnation skill. Chaos Treasure Pavilion and Stagnation skill were jack of all trades. They could be used to great effect. It was a pity that he would definitely not stabilize his Chaos Treasure Pavilion at rank 75. Then, it would be impossible to upgrade Stagnation skill to rank 5 and complete the first round of mutation. In this way, the range of options he had was much smaller. Should I upgrade Sacred skill to rank 10, or use the next 3 Chaos Treasures on Chaos Treasure Pavilion? Let's see if I can upgrade Chaos Treasure Pavilion by 2 Chaos Treasures at once after the rank 5 mutation. Xing Hui muttered to himself. In the end, he planned to give it a try. He did not believe that the Chaos Treasure Pavilion derived from rank 65 did not have this much power. Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Rank 3. Qing Su directly increased the level of the Chaos Technique to the second level. Afterwards, the level of the Chaos Technique increased once again, reaching the 73rd and 74th level. The Chaos Technique also reached the 5th level with the increase in level. As expected. After carefully sensing the power of rank 5 Chaos Treasure Pavilion, Xing Hui smiled faintly. It upgraded one of the Chaos Treasure Pavilion's Chaos Treasures by 2 levels. The usage interval was the same as backtracking skill, which was only 1 day. Then, next is rank 75. New characteristics, and the 4th mutation of the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. After confirming his guess, Xing Hui did not stop. 100 Dao rhymes were consumed, and the Chaos Treasure Pavilion was upgraded to rank 75. Chapter 752. Rushing up to the 75th step, the Chaos Temple floating outside his personal space rumbled again. It seemed to have become more mysterious, majestic, and vast. The consumption of 20 Daoist rhymes. How many people in the world can bear it? Xing Hui sensed the rate of consumption of Daoist rhymes and sighed. As he appeared in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, he diverted some of his attention to look at the new characteristic derived from the 75th step of the Chaos Temple. However, when he saw the various miraculous characteristics of this characteristic, his footsteps paused slightly as he stepped into the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. There's actually such a characteristic. Xing Hui stared at the new characteristic derived from this new characteristic. Freezing art. This freezing was not a freezing of the person's life level, but freezing the characteristics of the Son of Chaos, cutting off the connection between the Son of Chaos and the Chaos Temple. In other words, when the freezing art was in effect, the other Son of Chaos's chaotic characteristics would be stripped away. The duration is related to the difference between the freezing art's level and the Chaos level. The level 1 freezing art could only be effective on Sons of Chaos who were 9 levels lower. In other words, it could only freeze the chaotic characteristics of a Son of Chaos at the 66th step of the Chaos Temple. The duration was also not long, only 10 breaths of time. However, for cultivators who were used to the various mysterious characteristics of the Chaos Temple, 10 breaths of time was enough to completely change the outcome of a battle. It was like the teleportation technique that saints were best at. If they were about to use the teleportation technique to escape, the freezing art would suddenly freeze the various characteristics of the Son of Chaos, and even the Chaos Temple would not be able to sense it. In the end, there would only be death. This freezing art is simply a killing technique for the Son of Chaos. Moreover, as far as I know, the highest level of chaos in the entire divine wilderness is the Chaos Holy Man, the Tai Yi Emperor, and Supreme God Ancient Wilderness. They should be around the 44th step of the Chaos Temple. The 44th step is a full 31 steps of difference. Wouldn't the Son of Chaos's characteristics be stripped away for hundreds of years if the freezing art were to hit him? It should be known that the freezing time would increase exponentially with every difference in rank. In other words, the difference of 31 ranks would cause the freezing time to last for tens of billions of breaths. If converted to time, it would be hundreds of years or even thousands of years. This was a number that made people despair. It's a pity that even I can't afford to consume 20 Taoist rhythms in a day. Perhaps only those who occupy a few or a dozen worlds and earn tens of thousands of Taoist rhythms each year can easily sustain this level of chaos. Xing Hui glanced at him regretfully. However, even though he couldn't use it, he could use it as a hidden trump card when fighting against some sons of chaos. After all, once those top sons of chaos were stripped of their chaos characteristics, their combat strength would definitely plummet. Taking advantage of this opportunity, as long as the difference in strength between the two sides wasn't too great, he could completely turn the situation around. Anyway, the chaos level has already reached the 75th level. In case Emperor Tai Yi uses teleportation to escape, I'll try it on him. Xing Hui thought as his gaze finally landed on the primal chaos treasure pavilion before him. As expected. As Xing Hui raised the chaos level to the 75th level, the primal chaos treasure pavilion indeed underwent a new round of changes. The number of items sealed in the walls reached a total of 30. Xing Hui's gaze swept across the 30 items one by one. Soon, a ball of gray air exuding a boundless mysterious aura appeared before him. The originator. Swish. Xing Hui's figure flashed and directly appeared beside the originator. Looking at this item, his face finally revealed a look of joy. Very good, this originator will definitely be able to create another top expert. During his conversation with the 7-star sword spirit, Xing Hui had specifically asked about this supreme treasure, the originator. The originator was, in fact, a kind of chaos great Tao that existed in the unseen. This kind of existence could allow a cultivator to form a connection with the 12 divine beast great Taos that the Chaos Lord had created, thereby allowing a cultivator to obtain all kinds of mysteries similar to those of a Chaos Realm expert. In other words, when a cultivator refined the originator, he would be equivalent to half a Chaos Realm expert. However, he would only have the foundation of a Chaos Realm expert but not the realm and power of a Chaos Realm expert. He would need to gradually improve himself through gradual cultivation until he stepped onto the path of a Chaos Realm expert. A Grand Essence had at least a 20 to 30% chance of creating a Chaos Overlord. This was the reason why when a Grand Essence appeared, even existences who could create worlds with a single thought would do everything in their power to fight for it. The originator had such weight. I wonder if I can bear and refine the originator with my current means. Xing Hui felt somewhat uneasy. He was afraid that he would have to refine the originator into the Scarlet Abyss sword when the time came. It's a pity that the Taoist rhymes in the creation sacred jade can't be used to purchase treasures in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Otherwise, I could buy the originator right now. Xing Hui felt regretful. At the same time, he subconsciously glanced at the price of the originator. When he saw the price of the originator clearly, his expression changed. 3,000 Taoist rhymes. It wasn't 1,000, but 3,000. Just as Xing Hui thought that the price was wrong, he took a closer look at the originator and understood something. The originator in front of him was one size larger than the one he had purchased previously. If he guessed correctly, the originator in front of him should be equivalent to 3 sets of Taoist rhymes. Needless to say, this result was a pleasant surprise. With the originator in hand, his mood improved considerably. He immediately sized up the various items in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. However, what puzzled Xing Hui was that the prices of these items were shockingly low. He even saw a portion of Torch Dragon Essence blood. It was a Chaos Realm Torch Dragon Essence blood, but the price was less than 300 Taoist rhymes. Other than these, there was also a mutant white tiger that had been sealed. As one of the 6 divinities, the white tiger still had hopes of reaching the Chaos Realm if it had the opportunity. This was also the reason why it was called one of the six divinities and not a pure sacred beast. However, this mutant primal chaos white tiger was sold for only 600 Daoist rhymes, which was comparable to a baby divine beast. Xing Hui was speechless. He had scanned through the 30 items in the primal chaos temple. More than half of them were things he had never heard of or seen before. However, other than the originator, the primal chaos white tiger, and the torch dragon essence blood, he also found an extremely mysterious treasure. The Wood Spirit Empress. This was one of the few legendary creatures recorded in the Heaven Vault ancient records. Wood spirits were creatures that had almost no combat power. They were purely energy creatures. As long as they had enough energy, they could reproduce endlessly. They also had the miraculous ability to grow plants. Under the careful care and entanglement of a wood spirit, any plant or natural treasure could greatly shorten its growth time and increase its effectiveness. Therefore, any wood spirit was the most perfect gardener in the world. Usually, powerful beings who could reach the realm with a thought would find a way to get their hands on some and raise them in their personal medicine fields. As for the Wood Spirit Empress, she was the one who nurtured and shaped the life of the wood spirits. As long as the Wood Spirit Empress had enough energy, she could create a huge wood spirit race in an extremely short period of time. Xing Hui had a dragonization fruit tree that he had obtained from a powerful being who could reach the realm with a thought. Although it was currently planted in his personal space, it was still half dead. It was still a long way from nurturing dragonization fruits. If he could obtain enough wood spirits to grow the dragonization fruit tree, he would definitely be able to obtain more dragonization fruits. By then, not only would his physique be greatly strengthened, but his life essence would also have a chance of leaping to the level of a divine beast. 1,400 Daoist rhymes. That's really expensive. Xing Hui glanced at the price of the Wood Spirit Empress and could not help but shake his head helplessly. As for the remaining items in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, although he knew very well that every one of them was definitely top-notch, he could not identify them. Even if he wanted to buy them and sell them, he could not do so. In particular, there were some items that only God knew what dangers they contained. If he bought some terrifying items that contained curses, with the power of the Chaos Treasure, he was afraid that the entire divine wilderness would be wiped out. 3,000 Daoist Originator and 1,400 Wood Spirit Empress. A total of 4,400 Daoist rhymes. Xing Hui calculated in his mind and could not help but be secretly shocked. However, when he thought about how it would not be long before he went to eternity and would definitely return with a full load, he was no longer in a hurry and immediately left the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. How is it? Sensing the change in the divine light in Xing Hui's eyes, the Firmament Master could not wait to ask. Xing Hui nodded. However, the price is very high. Let's talk about it after we return from eternity. There really is one. The Firmament Master's heart trembled violently. Daoist Originator. A Daoist Originator. However, when he thought about the unbelievably high price of the Daoist Originator, he suddenly felt a pang of heartache. If he had known that there was still a chance to buy the Daoist Originator, he would have done everything he could to accumulate enough Daoist rhymes. That way, he would not be in a situation like today where the Daoist Originator was right in front of him, but he had the risk of missing out on such a supreme treasure. What are you talking about? The shadow-bearing sword's owner asked curiously. Nothing. The Firmament Master shook his head. The fewer people who knew about the Daoist Originator, the better. Alright, let's not delay any further. I plan to go to eternity now. Xing Hui said. There's no need for that. At this moment, the suffering true God seemed to have received some news. He smiled and said, according to the spy that our Black Flame sect planted in eternity, the Tai Yi Emperor of Eternity seems to have found out about the appearance of the Honorable Sword Xing Hui. He has joined forces with the Chaos Holy Man to lead eternity, Tian Dao, Divine Path sect, and Illuminating Era sect. There are a total of 18 Divine State Giants. They are now coming to our firmament master. They want to catch us all in one fell swoop while we're still here. If they use the Voidwalkers to pave the way, I'm afraid it won't take long for them to appear outside our mountain gate. Oh. They're coming to kill us? How dare they? The firmament master said angrily. Almost as soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying aura that was far more powerful than the divine state erupted from the periphery of the firmament master. The blazing power contained in the aura was like a scorching sun that illuminated the heavens. It was aggressive, overbearing, and arrogant. Chapter 753. It's Emperor Tai Yi. He's here so soon. Apart from Emperor Tai Yi, I also sense many other auras. Every aura is at the divine realm. It seems like the eternal realm and the heavenly Tao have temporarily joined forces. Just like how the two worlds joined forces to attack our divine wilderness world back then, they want to take advantage of the fact that we are all here to wipe us out. The faces of Firmament Master, esteemed Zhu Zhao, and Sword Master Qingying changed slightly. It's good that they're here. In fact, they're just in time. Xing Hui stepped forward, his eyes cold. Even if they didn't come, I would have gone to eternity to find them. Now that they're here, I don't have to waste my time. Sword Master Xing Hui, you're in charge of dealing with Emperor Tai Yi and Eternity's men. Leave the others to us. Esteemed Zhu Zhao said in a deep voice. The shadow-bearing Sword Master and the others nodded in agreement. Sword Master Bai Heng smiled faintly. I haven't fought with a top expert since I started my closed-door cultivation. I'd like to know how powerful my newly comprehended swordsmanship is and whether it can break through the defense of Tao Master Hunyuan in his normal state. Qing Su glanced past them one by one. He understood that if he transformed into the Kuan Pang at the fourth layer of the Saint Realm, he would definitely be able to unleash a massacre. He would be able to crush the enemies of Tai and the heavenly Daos like crushing dry weeds. However, if he did that, the Reverend Zhu Zhao, the shadow-bearing Sword Master, the Baiheng Sword Master, and so on would basically have nothing to do with him. Moreover, they were able to cultivate to the divine realm, especially in a place like the divine wilderness where vitality was damaged. Which one of them did not have their own pride? How could they just watch as Qing Su fought at the front lines while they reaped the fruits of his labor from the back? Therefore, even if they knew that Xing Hui could still resolve Firmament World's crisis without them, they were still unwilling to stay out of it. Good. Then, I'll deal with Emperor Tai Yi and Eternity's men. I'll leave the rest to you. Xing Hui nodded heavily. Xing Hui, if it's possible, why don't you let us deal with the glorious era sect that came with the eternal Tao? At this moment, Venerable Firmament said, Elder Brilliant Dragon Emperor and Elder Ing Tianqing of the Illuminating Era sect have contacted us, saying that they are unwilling to be enemies with us. However, they have no choice but to submit temporarily due to the overwhelming power of the Eternals. They also claim that if the Illuminating Era sect is really forced to enter the battlefield, they will definitely respond negatively. They asked us to give them a way out. Oh. Qing Su thought about the brilliant Dragon Emperor and Ing Tianqing he had met before and nodded slightly. The two of them were probably people who knew how to adapt to circumstances. They're just fence-sitters. Seeing that the four sects of Firmament World are weak, they want to side with us. Now that there's a vacuum-shattering expert in the Eternals, they want to cut ties with us. When the time comes, we'll see. If the Illuminating Era sect really knows what's good for them and is just putting on a show, we'll give them face and cooperate. If their so-called promise is just empty words, then don't be polite. We'll kill them directly and let them know the consequences of being overcautious. Venerable Zhu Zhao snorted softly. Venerable Firmament thought for a moment and nodded. Leave the Illuminating Era sect to me. Even if they're really trying to numb our will and give us a fatal blow at the critical moment, I'll be able to withstand it as long as I'm careful. Good. Qing Su could vaguely hear the cries of the experts of the eternal realm outside, so he could not be bothered to waste time on such a trivial matter. He immediately leapt to his feet. Let's go out and meet them. Let's hope the Supreme Emperor's veneer-shattering expert isn't too weak. With Xing Hui taking the lead, Zhu Zhao, Firmament, and Shadow Bearing followed closely behind. As they had learnt the reason behind Qing Su's confidence in being able to transform into the 16th class divine beast Kunpeng, even though he would not be of much use in a direct battle, the Venerable Zhongzhen, Venerable Yuanri, and the others still followed him. Naturally, they were no match for the saint experts. However, if they entered the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth state and had other saint experts to hold them back, they could still cause considerable damage to the saint experts. Whoosh! As Xing Hui and the others left Firmament World, the first to appear in front of them were the eternal experts. Emperor Crimson Afterglow and Emperor Brilliant Sun, who had communicated with Xing Hui before, were among them. In addition to Emperor Crimson Afterglow and Emperor Brilliant Sun, there were 11 other saints from the eternal experts, including those from the Illuminating World sect. 10 of these 11 people surrounded Emperor Tai Yi like stars surrounding the moon. They were filled with an overbearing aura. How could they be as modest and low-key as Xing Hui when he entered the eternal realm? And with the eternal experts were the Heavenly Way and the Divine Path sect. The Heavenly Way could be said to have turned out in full force. With Chaos Holy Man as the leader and Anusrava Holy Man as the support, the remaining 5 saint experts were all gathered. Although they were slightly separated from the eternal experts, showing that they belonged to 2 different groups, they still had an imposing aura. If they were to fight against some first-rate sects, just this lineup alone would be enough to defeat that first-rate sect without a fight. However, in addition to the eternal experts and the Heavenly Way, what surprised Xing Hui, Firmament World, and the others was that even the Divine Wilderness had arrived. However, compared to the eternal experts and the Heavenly Way who had turned out in full force, only 3 people from the Divine Wilderness had come. One of them was Supreme God Ancient Wilderness, whose aura was not any weaker than that of Emperor Tai Yi. The other 2 were Supreme God Sky Splitter, who barely possessed the battle strength of a supreme expert and had been forced into a space interlayer by Xing Hui, and Supreme God Vast Sea, who was in charge of receiving Xing Hui. When he saw Xing Hui again, Supreme God Sky Splitter's eyes clearly carried a trace of coldness. However, he seemed to have thought of something and quickly withdrew this trace of coldness. He glanced at the eternal experts and the Heavenly Way who had come to bully them and could not help but wear a playful smile on his face. He seemed to be waiting for the scene where Xing Hui and the others were forced into a corner by the eternal experts and the Heavenly Way to seek help from them. Oh, you finally stopped being a coward this time. Do you know that the Heavenly Way and the eternal experts have joined forces and your protective formation is useless in front of the leakless holy man? Or do you think that you have the power to turn the situation around and fight against us now that Xing Hui, whom you have high hopes for, has returned? Emperor Tai Yi looked at the people from the 4-sect alliance who had come out from the sky and stepped forward with an indifferent expression. At the same time, Supreme God Ancient Wilderness also stepped forward with a hearty laugh. Sword Master Xing Hui. I've heard of your name many times over the years. It's incredible that you have such achievements at such a young age. You tore apart the chaotic realm of the Chaos Holy Man in a head-on battle. However, you should understand that the power you obtain through the transformation technique is ultimately incomparable to the power of a void-shattering expert. As long as we delay as much as possible and wait for the duration of your transformation technique to pass, you will still be at our mercy in front of void-shattering experts like us. Therefore, you have to think carefully about the conditions I proposed earlier. Hand over the World Core and announce that your 4-sect alliance will be part of the Divine Wilderness. Seeing that we are all local cultivators of the Divine Wilderness world, we can lend you a hand. The duration of the transformation technique is limited. Delay. That's right, but... Xing Hui stepped forward and directly stepped into the void. He was tit-for-tat with Emperor Tai Yi and Supreme God Ancient Wilderness. Once I transform into the divine beast Kunpeng, killing you will only take a few breaths. How can you delay the duration of the transformation technique? A few breaths. What shameless boasting. Not to mention that you're just a Kuanping, and you don't have the talent of the Kuanping. Even if you're a real Kuanping, if we try our best to defend ourselves, you won't be able to kill us in a few breaths. Since you're so conceited, I'll show you the difference between a vacuum-shattering realm cultivator and a real vacuum-shattering realm cultivator. Hearing Tsing Hui's words, Emperor Tai immediately shouted. He didn't want to waste any more time with Tsing Hui. He directly soared into the sky, and behind him, a huge golden crow shadow appeared. No. This was no longer an illusion. This was an existence that was close to reality. As long as he took one more step forward, he would be able to use his own body as the foundation to turn the false into the real and transform into the real divine beast Golden Crow. When the Golden Crow appeared, the land was dyed red. Endless light and heat swept out the moment the Golden Crow appeared. It was several times more powerful than the sort of sunlight that Qing Su had used before. Golden Crow. Tsing Hui stepped forward. Before he stepped into the center of the blazing heat of the Golden Crow, he had already activated the transformation spell and the divine spell. At the same time as he activated the transformation technique and the divine technique, he channeled the chaotic technique as well, directly transferring the amplification effect of the 5th level chaotic technique to himself. Immediately, his divine technique that was only at the 8th level directly rushed to the 10th level, breaking through the critical point of mutation. As a result, when Qing Su swelled up and revealed his Kuanping true form at the 4th layer of the Saint Realm, he could clearly sense that the burden on him was much smaller than when he ripped open the spatial formation and transformed into the Kuanping. Ha! The Chaos Holy Man, who had followed the Tai Emperor here silently, immediately felt that something was wrong when he saw the divine beast Kuanping that Tsing Hui had transformed into. Why is this divine beast Kuanping so much bigger than the one that tore open my primordial realm? The last time Tsing Hui transformed into the divine beast Kuanping, it was about 260 meters tall and its wingspan was not more than 500 meters. However, this time, the divine beast Kuanping he transformed into was more than 400 meters tall. If it spread its wings, it would be close to 1,000 meters long. When he sensed the shuddering pressure from the Kuanping that Qing Su had transformed into, which even came from the origin of life, the Chaos Holy Man seemed to have thought of something. His face immediately changed drastically, and he could not help but exclaim, "The divine true body! Divine true body! This is the divine true body of the 4th level divine realm." Oh no, Tsing Hui's transformation spell has increased again. He has transformed into the divine beast Kuanping of the 4th level divine realm. Chapter 754. 4th Tier Divine Beast Kuanping. Chaos Holy Man's exclamation not only shocked those from the way of heaven and eternity, but even divine venerable ancient barons, who was an outsider, turned pale. In reality, there was no need for Chaos Holy Man's warning. Even he, who was not targeted by Qing Su, could sense the might of Qing Su's Kuanping transformation, let alone Emperor Tai, who bore the brunt of it. Damn it, 4th tier divine realm. The Tai Emperor roared and retreated without hesitation. At the same time, the aura of the divine art appeared on his body, causing his speed to soar to the extreme. The divine realm was different from the saint realm. In the saint realm, there was almost no gap other than the divine art stage. Usually, 3 to 5 cultivators of a lower realm could kill a cultivator of a higher realm. However, this situation was gradually overturned when one reached the divine realm. The difference between the grand domain realm, void interpretation realm, and shattering vacuum realm was not that obvious, but once he reached the divine true body realm, the difference was basically like heaven and earth. If Qing Su had only transformed into the Kuanping at the 3rd layer of the divine true body realm, the Tai Emperor was confident that he could keep him busy for a while, but at the 4th layer, run. Other than running, he didn't have any other thoughts. You want to run? The Kuanping is a divine beast best at speed. Do you think you can escape in front of the Kunpeng? The Kunpeng that Xing Hui had turned into flapped its wings. It was like a dark cloud that covered the sky and swept toward the fleeing Tai Emperor. Although he didn't have many of the divine powers and talents of the Kunpeng, due to the transformation of the creation divine jade, his understanding of the rules of heaven and earth had reached a level that was not inferior to that of the divine beast Kunpeng. Although this understanding was similar to written knowledge and he hadn't had time to practice it to increase his experience, it was more than enough to control the Kunpeng. As he flapped his wings, the layers of space were like thin sheets of paper, allowing him to pass through them easily. Before the Tai Emperor could even retreat 300 kilometers, Qing Su had already blocked his path with ease. This was because Xing Hui didn't want more people to know what he was going to do next. Otherwise, the Tai Emperor could only retreat 100 kilometers in front of him. After catching up to the Tai Emperor, Xing Hui didn't give the Emperor any chance to escape. He used the freezing art derived from the 75th level Son of Chaos's characteristics. In the next moment, the Tai Emperor, who was retreating, felt his mind went blank. The divine art aura and the Son of Chaos completely dissipated in his senses. Even his divine arts aura and recovery arts passive buff was completely disappeared. He could only helplessly watch as Xing Hui's Kunpeng, the divine beast Kunpeng, reached divine beast Kunpeng, grabbed him. What's going on? What's going on? The Tai Emperor was both shocked and terrified. Using his void-shattering realm's understanding of space law, he struggled to break free from Xing Hui's divine beast Kunpeng. However, Xing Hui's Kunpeng only exerted a little force, and the space within 1,000 meters around the Tai Emperor was completely disrupted. As this was the first time he had used space power like this, he had used too much power and accidentally created a black hole with a diameter of several hundred meters. There were even terrifying space currents that swept out from it for cultivators below the void-shattering realm. Crack! The sound of bones shattering rang throughout the Tai Emperor's body. Even though the Tai Emperor had become a divine being, he still couldn't help but cry out in pain when he suddenly encountered such pain. In addition, the divine light in Xing Hui's eyes condensed. The blazing sword essence carried a heat wave that could burn one's divine soul into the Tai Emperor's mind while he was in pain. The torrent of destruction suddenly burst out and burned the Tai Emperor's mind into a sea of fire, causing him to pass out. I thought you could hold on for 1 or 2 breaths. I didn't expect you to disappoint me. Qing Su stowed the Tai Emperor away in his personal space. Even though it would be very difficult for a sainthood powerhouse to get anything out of him if they wanted to interrogate him, there was still some hope at least. After capturing the Tai Emperor alive, Xing Hui didn't waste any time. He turned around and turned into a streak of light again. Along with the space ripples, he reappeared 200 kilometers away. The Taoist venerate of primal chaos and the people of the heavenly ways quickly retreated as well. Even the people of the supreme divinity primordial wilderness chose to retreat without any hesitation after witnessing Qing Su transform into the Kunpeng, leaving the sky. Unfortunately, they had considered everything, but they had never expected Qing Su to capture the great Supreme Emperor alive so quickly. As a result, they were rather reluctant to use their teleportation techniques, so they flew away quickly. Xing Hui swept his gaze and quickly locked onto the other eternal emperors. He then clenched his hand and the spatial force in all directions was completely disrupted. How could he be so fast? How could he be so fast? Teleportation technique. Only by teleporting to the spatial mezzanine can we have a chance of saving our lives. Damn it, how could the Son of Chaos have such a terrifying characteristic? The eternal divine being experts screamed in horror and didn't hesitate to use the teleportation technique. They were no longer as arrogant as they were when they first arrived. So what if you escape to the spatial mezzanine? Unless you never return to the divine wilderness world, as long as I, Xing Hui, am in the divine wilderness world, there will be no peace in the eternal realm. Qing Su said. Afterwards, a brilliant streak of light shot out from his spiritual world. It seemed to turn into a resplendent sun, enveloping all the living beings within several dozen kilometers of him in a single moment. The blazing sun formed by the sword light in his spiritual world carried a blazing heat that could burn the heavens and boil the sea, causing all the divine being experts in the area to scream in pain. Even the activation of the teleportation technique was delayed slightly. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the Kunpeng avatar attacked and captured all the divine beings who had been severely injured by his sword intent. 10 divine beings from the Eternal Realm and the Illuminating World sect, as well as 7 divine beings from the Heavenly Path and the Divine Path sect, 9 of them were captured by Tsing Hui and sent into his personal space. However, the Qing Su's attack of sword intent had a large area of effect after all. It was not like the Heavenly Lord of Heartless who only targeted a single person. The remaining 8 saints actually grasped the opportunity and activated the teleportation technique immediately, either because they possessed treasures that could defend against mental attacks, or because their minds were powerful, or because they just happened to be outside the range of Qing Su's attack. Do you think you can escape? Tsing Hui growled, his gaze locked onto the 2 giants of the Heavenly Path, the Anusrava Holy Man and the Chaos Holy Man. With a thought, the characteristics of the Son of Chaos were activated. The stagnation technique, dimensional lock, and dimensional lock were used in this order, instantly targeting the Chaos Holy Man and the Anusrava Holy Man. When the Chaos Holy Man and the Anusrava Holy Man disappeared from everyone's sight with the help of the teleportation technique, Tsing Hui's Kunpeng avatar also disappeared without a trace, evidently in pursuit. Just a second ago, the Eternal and Heavenly Tao Alliance had been so aggressive, ready to kill their way into the Heaven Vault empires for sex and completely annihilate them. However, in less than 10 breaths of time, they had been completely defeated. Many saints had been killed, captured, and fled. In the blink of an eye, they had scattered like birds. The people of the Divine Wilderness, who wanted to take advantage of the situation and seize the world core from Heaven Vault Empire, were dumbfounded. It was only after Tsing Hui's pursuit of the Anusrava Holy Man and the Chaos Holy Man disappeared without a trace that Supreme God Ancient Wilderness suddenly came to his senses. He hurriedly forced a smile and said to the Juru Holy Man and the Celestial Sect Master, since the Celestial Sect is unwilling to let the Divine Wilderness keep the heart of the world, then forget it. The Divine Wilderness has always been reasonable and will never force others to do something against their will. Please rest assured, we still have matters to attend to in the Divine Wilderness, so it's not good to disturb you any further. Please send our regards to the Sword Venerable Tsing Hui on behalf of the Divine Wilderness. We'll take our leave first. With that, he did not even dare to wait for the Juru Holy Man and the Celestial Sect Master's reply and fled as fast as he could. At this time, he only wanted to return to the Divine Wilderness. Only by returning to the Divine Wilderness and relying on the protection of the Divine Wilderness Mountain Protecting Formation could he feel a little bit of security. Humph, they're running pretty fast. The Celestial Sect Master could not help but snort coldly as he watched Supreme God Ancient Wilderness and the others retreat. Tsing Hui was not here, and even if they attacked, they could not stop Supreme God Ancient Wilderness and the others, so they did not intercept them immediately. Don't worry, when Sword Venerable Tsing Hui returns, we'll make them pay back the humiliation and harm they've brought to the Celestial Sect Master several times over. Juru Holy Man also hated the Divine Wilderness for taking advantage of the situation back then. It's really unexpected. We thought there would be a big battle later, and Sword Venerable Tsing Hui would be in charge of dealing with the top divine beings while we deal with the ordinary divine beings. Who would have thought? Sword Venerable Tsing Hui would take care of everything by himself, so much so that we, the so-called sword masters, sages, and true gods, could only watch from the sidelines. We didn't even have a chance to show our skills. Sword Master Qingying smiled bitterly. Even though he had already submitted to Tsing Hui, the huge gap between them still made him feel lonely. Sword Master Wuxia, who was behind him, patted his shoulder and said, "Qingying, there's no need to blame yourself. Some monsters who are called geniuses are destined not to be looked at with the eyes of ordinary people. The master of the shadow-bearing sword was not that weak. He smiled bitterly and glanced at the master of the Baiheng sword. The master of the Baiheng sword's talent can already be described as astounding. He's only cultivated for a few hundred years, yet he already possesses the battle prowess of a true sovereign. His talent is so great that it's rarely seen in the world. Even the Reverend Zhu Zhao acknowledged his talent recently. However, while the master of the Baiheng sword's talent is also astounding, it's still within the normal range after all. On the other hand, the Green Ruins sword venerable's cultivation speed has basically reached an illogical level. Zhuru holy man seemed to have heard the sword master Chengying's sigh and immediately laughed heartily. If it is reasonable, then can he still be called a peerless genius? Sword master Chengying was slightly taken aback when he heard this, but he could only nod helplessly. Well, it was reasonable, and he had no way to refute it. Just as the divine sage experts were chatting, the crack in the void was torn open again. A huge chasm with a diameter of several thousand meters stretched across the void, and Xing Hui, who had transformed into the Kunpeng, appeared again. Chapter 755. Honorable Sword Xing Hui. Honorable Sword Xing Hui is back. It seems that Honorable Sword Xing Hui has already wiped out the two higher-ups of the Way of Heaven. Honorable Sword Xing Hui is still able to make mistakes. It seems that the next time Honorable Sword Xing Hui transforms into the divine beast Kunpeng, it will be the day when Honorable Sword Xing Hui is completely destroyed. Firmament Master, Zhangzhen Master, Yuanri Master, and Swordmaster Master Comprehending Swordmaster were all overjoyed. Looking at Xing Hui descending from the void, their eyes were full of emotions. After Xing Hui descended, he gradually withdrew his transformation skill. He had spent a lot of time chasing after Chaos Holy Man and Flawless Holy Man in the Void Mezzanine. Although his physical body had not collapsed yet, he could not hold on for long. After all, the burden on his body from entering the Void Mezzanine and returning safely from it was incomparable to fighting in the world. Honorable Sword Xing Hui, how is it? Did anyone escape from the Way of Heaven? Zhu Zhao Master asked. Chaos Holy Man escaped. Xing Hui said regretfully, no one would have thought that Chaos Holy Man had a lichen armor. With this lichen armor, when he found himself in the Void Mezzanine, he chose to fly directly into the depths of the Void Mezzanine and drilled into the areas where the space storms were denser. In an instant, he was already far away. I was worried that he might get lost in the Void Mezzanine, so I could not chase after him recklessly. Zhu Zhao Master, Firmament Master, and Shadow-Bearing Sword Master heard this and nodded understandingly, although they were a little regretful that they did not kill Chaos Holy Man. The lichen armor had an excellent defensive effect against the space storms, so even Chaos Holy Man, who was only at the Void Realm, dared to fly freely in the Void Mezzanine in the space storms. Xing Hui, who had transformed into a Kunpeng at the 4th level of the Divine Realm, might be safe if he chased after Chaos Holy Man. However, under the space storms, he would soon be blown away. Once he was lost in the Void Mezzanine, it would take him at least 8 to 10 years to come back. If it were Venerable Master Zhu Zhao and the others, they might not care about 8 to 10 years, but Qing Su, he only had 12 years left. In these 12 years, he had to cultivate to the level of one thought world and resolve the crisis that the Earth civilization was facing. He could not afford to waste these 8 to 10 years. Chaos Holy Man may have the lichen armor, but it can only ensure that he does not die in the Void Mezzanine. If he wants to return to our divine wilderness world, he will need at least 10 years. During this period of time, I have already touched the threshold of vacuum-shattering realm while fighting with the eternal Tai Emperor. If I cultivate in seclusion for a year or so, I will definitely be able to reach the vacuum-shattering realm. When I reach the vacuum-shattering realm, even if Chaos Holy Man returns, he will still die. Exalted Zhu Zhao said confidently. In the end, he said after a moment of contemplation, moreover, I think it's very likely that the chaotic Tao sovereign won't return after learning that an expert like you, Qing Su, is present. After all, even if he does return, it won't make any difference to the situation in the divine wilderness. Master Firmament nodded. The Taoist sovereign of primordial chaos has always been a scheming and astute person. He won't return to our divine wilderness so easily before he comes up with a plan to deal with Qing Su. So, that is to say, after the interval of Tsing Hui's next transformation technique is over, we can directly kill our way into the way of heaven. Master Tsangzhen's eyes lit up. In these years, Firmament Master had been suppressed by the way of heaven so much that he could hardly breathe. More than 10 years ago, they almost did not dare to imagine that Firmament Master could one day turn defeat into victory and disintegrate the way of heaven. But now, the opportunity to kill their way into the way of heaven was right in front of them. They almost could not wait to rule the way of heaven as the winner. We do need to wait for a while. Tsing Hui did not dare to underestimate the level 15 formation of the way of heaven. But after a moment, he thought of something. However, if you can make him speak, the way of heaven formation may not be of any use. When the time comes, we can even move our temporary residence to the way of heaven and enjoy the benefits of the level 15 formation of the way of heaven. As he spoke, a figure was thrown out from Tsing Hui's hand. It was the strongest formation master in the way of heaven, the leakless holy man who could arrange a level 13 formation. Leakless holy man. It's him. Sword Master Tsing Hui, you actually captured him alive. That's great. Haha, the mountain guarding formation of the way of heaven is maintained by leakless holy man, so he knows the operation of the way of heaven formation like the back of his hand. If we can make leakless holy man speak, the way of heaven will be as easy as walking on flat ground for us. When everyone saw leakless holy man thrown out by Tsing Hui, they could not help but be pleasantly surprised. But Li Hen holy man has not relented so far. If we want to make leakless surrender, I'm afraid it will not be an easy thing. Master Zhu Zhao frowned and said. Hearing what Venerable Zhu Zhao said, the crowd became silent. Experts of the divine realm were different from cultivators below the divine realm. It was not easy to rely on physical torture to make an expert of the divine realm collapse. Let me give it a try. Master Yuanri said, in fact, when I was in the Almighty Realm, I had some friendship with leakless holy man, and we even fought side by side. But later, we served different masters, so our friendship gradually faded and turned into hostility. I'll see if I can break his spiritual defense from the side and force out what we want. Then I'll have to trouble you, Master Yuanri. Master Tianqiong said. I have captured many divine realm giants and interrogated them well. I don't believe that these divine realm experts are stubborn old men who would rather die than submit. As long as they are willing to contribute their Taoist rhymes and divine weapons, I don't even need them to surrender to us. As long as they don't become enemies with us, I can give them a way out. As Tsing Hui spoke, he once again threw out a large number of eternal divine realm experts he had captured alive. Let them go. Don't let them join our four-sect alliance. Profound Comprehension Sword Master was a little surprised. However, Master Tianqiong seemed to understand the deeper meaning of Tsing Hui's actions. He said with a smile, as long as our four-sect alliance can continue to grow stronger, and even develop into the number one sect in the divine wilderness, why would these divine realm experts who have lost their sects and have nowhere to go worry about not taking the initiative to surrender to us in exchange for a broader future? Indeed, forcing others is much better than making them willingly join our four-sect alliance. After all, how many of the divine realm experts in the eternal realm really came from the world behind the eternal realm? Aren't most of them born and cultivated in our divine wilderness? The divine wilderness is their foundation, and they only chose to join the eternal realm for their own future. Tsing Hui nodded. Well, leave those divine realm experts to us. Anyway, they have lost many of their Taoist treasures and divine weapons. Even if they want to become enemies with us in the future, they may not be our match. Master Yuanri took over this matter. At this moment, Wulikla's holy man seemed to wake up from his coma and immediately quivered. However, when he sensed that he was surrounded by peak experts like the Zhenjiao monk, the shadow-bearing sword master, the Baiheng sword master, the firmament master, and the green ruin sword master, his face immediately paled. He did not even have the courage to fight back. Especially when he looked at Xing Hui, there was a trace of fear in his eyes. Just now, that was the legendary dimensional lock. Xing Hui glanced at Wulikla's holy man with some surprise. He did not expect Wulikla's holy man to know the characteristics of a 60th level son of chaos. However, he still nodded. Yes, it is the dimensional lock. It's actually the dimensional lock. Wulikla's holy man's face showed a trace of bitterness. I didn't expect you to have developed the son of chaos to such an extent. We didn't lose unjustly. Wulikla's holy man, at this moment, Master Yuanri stepped forward. Now that things have come to this, you should be able to understand the situation. Do you think that in the face of Sword Master Xing Hui, who can transform into a 4th level divine stage Kunpeng, the way of heaven still has a chance to turn the tables? Wulikla's holy man was silent for a moment, and finally shook his head. Wulikla's holy man, you don't have to belittle yourself. If I'm not wrong, your way of heaven should still have the ability to turn the tables. Master Tianqiong said with a smile that was not a smile. Wulikla's holy man was slightly taken aback, and a ray of light flashed across his eyes. Evidently, he already knew what Master Tianqiong was talking about. Although the eternal and divine wilderness do not believe in the so-called reinforcements of your way of heaven, we have captured the Li Hen holy man alive, but he has not surrendered during this period of time. From this point, we can infer that he must have the confidence that your way of heaven can turn the tables. That kind of confidence is obviously impossible for the Chaos Holy Man. Then, there is only one result: the reinforcements of the great heaven world behind the way of heaven are real. Master Tianqiong said the last sentence with certainty. Wulikla's holy man glanced at Master Tianqiong, took a deep breath, and finally sighed, "You're right, that is indeed the case, but..." As he spoke, Wulikla's holy man glanced at Xing Hui. "It's useless." "Oh. I'd like to hear the details." "You have defeated the Eternal, sooner or later you will hear the news from the Eternal. The great heaven world behind the way of heaven, as a result of the war against the divine wilderness world 10,000 years ago, was greatly damaged, and has already been broken through by the joint forces of several hostile worlds. Although there was a team that contacted us a few decades ago, but according to the information we have and the clues we have obtained, this team did not come to our aid on their own initiative, but to avoid the pursuit of the enemy. They thought of the way of heaven in the divine wilderness world, and fled to our divine wilderness world. Although this team has many experts, but the leader is only in the unhindered realm, and does not possess the supreme ability to create a world with a thought. Furthermore, they need at least 40 years to reach this world. When the leakless Tao sovereign reached there, he shook his head with a bitter smile, and with the cultivation speed of a monstrous figure like the Green Ruin Sword Master, will reigning realm cultivators still be his opponent in 40 years' time? Chapter 756. 40 years, freely conquering realm. Wulikla's holy man's words made Master Tianqiong, Master Zhuzhao, and the shadow-bearing sword master all laugh. It should be said that Xing Hui had only cultivated for 19 years, and in these 19 years, he had risen from a mere mortal to a divine true body level expert with the help of the transformation technique. Although his divine true body was inferior to other divine true body experts, no one dared to treat him as a third-level divine true body cultivator of the vacuum-shattering realm. In 19 years, he had already achieved such an achievement, and in another 40 years. Even if it was said that Xing Hui had broken through to one thought to create a world with a thought, they would not be surprised at all. The so-called common sense of ordinary people could not be used as a reference in front of Xing Hui at all. Anisrava holy man, it's good that you can understand this point. Perhaps this is the basis of our cooperation. Even though you once led people to plot against me, but at that time, we were just serving different masters. There was no deep hatred between us that could not be resolved. Therefore, if you are willing to cooperate with us to take down the heavenly way, we can also pass the conditions that we set for the eternity to you. When we get the answers that we want to know, and you hand over the treasures and divine weapons on you, you can still leave alive and roam the world as a divine being. As Master Zhuzhao spoke, he generously glossed over the fact that Wulikla's holy man had led other divine true body experts to besiege him. Wulikla's holy man was slightly taken aback when he heard this, and then took a deep breath. If Sword Master Tsing Hui and you can guarantee my safety, I can tell you all the information I know about the heavenly Tao, and lead you into the heavenly Tao. The Heaven's Venerable Master glanced at the Reverend Zhuzhao. Seeing how the Reverend Zhuzhao was actually willing to overlook the fact that the Anisrava holy man had brought people to kill him, he calmed down. At the same time, he turned to the Anisrava holy man and invited, the Anisrava holy man should be able to tell that with the Green Ruin Swordmaster around, there will be a day when our four sects surpass the divine wilderness and become the master of the divine wilderness. Since the Anisrava holy man is going to live in the divine wilderness in the future, he'll definitely be restricted by our four sections. Instead of that, why don't you join us? As long as Wulikla's holy man is willing to sincerely join our four sects, I believe that the four sects will be very happy to bury the hatchet. This. Wulikla's holy man was a little moved. The smarter a person was, the easier it was for him to discern the situation. Wulikla's holy man had always played a role similar to a think tank in the heavenly Tao. He could naturally see the potential of Tsing Hui's four-sect alliance. It could be said that, in the following period of time, unless there was a great change in the world, the divine wilderness would inevitably become the backyard of the four sections. As Sword Master Tsing Hui's strength gradually stabilized and strengthened, the heavenly Tao, eternity, and divine wilderness would eventually be devoured by the four sects one by one. At that time, the divine wilderness would usher in an unprecedented unification. At that time, unless Wulikla's holy man no longer lived in the divine wilderness, or was willing to miss the rapid development period of the divine wilderness, it was only a matter of time before he joined the four sections. Moreover, joining the four sects now and joining the four sects would obviously be on a different level. When he thought up to there, the Anisrava Holy Venerable immediately turned to the Sky Venerable Master, Zhenzhou Venerable Master, and Qing Su. Since the esteemed masters and the Green Ruins Sword Venerable think so highly of me, I, Anisrava, would be ignorant if I, Anisrava, declined. I, Anisrava, am willing to become a member of the four sects of the Heaven's Domain. From today onwards, I will contribute to the four-sect alliance. Good. Hearing Wulikla's holy man's straightforward promise, Firmament Master said solemnly, and cautiously stepped forward. Welcome, Wulikla's holy man. I believe you will be glad of your choice today. After that, he turned to Tsing Hui and said, Sword Master Tsing Hui, what do you think? Since Zhuzhao Master and Firmament Master have spoken, I have no objection. Tsing Hui said. After all, he had only been in the Heaven Wasteland world for a short time. In the entire Heaven Wasteland world, the only people he wanted to kill were Black Heaven Tao Master and Broken Sword. Now that he had dealt with Black Heaven Tao Master, there was only Broken Sword left. As for the others, perhaps there was a conflict of interest with him, but it could not be said to be a life and death grudge. That's great. With Wulikla's holy man joining, our four-sect alliance will definitely be able to improve further. Firmament Master burst into laughter when he heard Tsing Hui's promise. Esteemed Lord, do you want to recruit these people? Seeing that Wulikla's holy man had chosen to join the four-sect alliance, Master Yuan Ri immediately asked. Firmament Master then turned his gaze to Tsing Hui. Sword Master Tsing Hui, what do you think? If they are willing to join our four-sect alliance can accept them. However, they must hand over all their Taoist rhymes and divine weapons. Treat it as a lesson for being our enemy. This is the bottom line that we cannot back down. Tsing Hui said. He was still waiting for the Tao-bearing treasures from the eternal and heavenly Tao to purchase the Wood Spirit Empress and the 3 originators from the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Of course. Since they've gone against us, then they naturally have to pay the price. I'll lead them to make arrangements right now. Moreover, I'll rely on the energy of the chaotic oath to guarantee that they won't be able to leave behind a single weapon or treasure. Venerable Yuan Ri nodded heavily. The primal chaos oath often required 50 Tao auras. It was naturally not cost-effective to use 50 Tao auras on ordinary people, but which saint did not have a net worth of thousands? In order to ensure that they handed over all their things, so what if it was a waste of 50 Tao auras? At least with the power of the primal chaos oath, once they hit any Tao auras or divine weapons, the power of the primal chaos oath would immediately activate and reduce their primal chaos level. At that time, it would be a small matter if their primal chaos level fell, but Master Yuan Ri, who had discovered that they had been deceived, would not give them a chance to quibble. After Master Yuan Ri took them away, the shadow-bearing sword master also asked, Master Zhu Zhao, Sword Master Tsing Hui, how should we deal with the matter in the divine wilderness? Master Zhu Zhao pondered for a moment, then turned his gaze to Tsing Hui and Firmament Master. Even Tsing Hui looked at Firmament Master questioningly. Firmament Master, the nominal leader of Firmament Master, clearly had the most right to speak on this matter. In fact, our divine wilderness world has been unable to develop for many years, and the Primal Chaos Temple is one of the biggest factors restricting us. Everyone here is a powerhouse of the divine realm, so you should know the difference between a world that has control over the Primal Chaos Temple and one that has not. Firmament Master said. Profound Comprehension Sword Master nodded in deep agreement. Our sword shadow has the relevant records. The Primal Chaos Temple is the foundation of a world. The effects of a Primal Chaos Temple that is controlled by a person and a Primal Chaos Temple that is not controlled by a person are completely different. A Primal Chaos Temple that is not controlled by a person can only rely on its foundation to operate, and the radiation of its power is limited to a world. However, when a Primal Chaos Temple is controlled by a person, the power of the Primal Chaos Temple will immediately radiate into the interlayers of space, and even into the endless void. In addition, the master of the Primal Chaos Temple can also influence the sale of items in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion by controlling the items in the Primal Chaos Temple. At this point, Profound Comprehension Sword Master said angrily, according to the information we obtained from the Netherworld Sword Ancestor, our divine wilderness world's production of Tao aura is extremely rich, 10 times or even dozens of times that of an ordinary world. Otherwise, how could the divine wilderness world, which is located at the edge of the endless void, develop to a level that exceeds a powerful world like the Heaven Primal Great World? However, because the Primal Chaos Temple has no master, our divine wilderness world has an extremely high production of Tao aura, but we are exploited by the nearby worlds. We use extremely high prices to buy their ordinary items. Furthermore, they seem to be deliberately suppressing our world's cultivation progress. The innate Tao aura that is extremely important to domain realm cultivators rarely appears in the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. As long as we have the master of the Primal Chaos Temple, our divine wilderness world can break this seal. Oh! Hearing Profound Comprehension Sword Master's words, Tsing Hui, who did not understand the concept of the master of the Primal Chaos Temple, could not help but ask, what kind of influence does the master of the Primal Chaos Temple have on a world? What is the significance of this influence on the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion? The birth of the master of the Primal Chaos Temple can establish a good system. Radiating power into the void interlayer and even the endless void is one point. Secondly, it can control the chaos of snatching primal chaos levels. Primal chaos levels can no longer be sold easily. Only when one party dies can they be inherited by the other party. Thirdly, it is the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. Profound Comprehension Sword Master replied, the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion is the ability of the 30th rank Son of Chaos. However, if it is a newly born Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion without the Master of the Primal Chaos, the range of its power will not be too large. Its range is usually only around 10 worlds. In other words, the things we buy are actually sold by the people of these 10 worlds. As for the price, it is also set by them. If these 10 worlds can work together, they can monopolize the prices of our world even if they don't find our world's location. When Xing Hui heard this, he nodded thoughtfully. However, if the Master of the Primal Chaos is born, we can control the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion and break this blockade. We can increase the daily consumption of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion and expand the range of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion's power to more than 100 worlds. The combination of 10 worlds may be able to monopolize the goods and prices of our Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion in the Divine Wilderness world, but more than 100 worlds. Xing Hui immediately understood what Profound Comprehension Sword Master meant. In other words, even if we expand the power of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion, it will increase the consumption of the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion. However, if we break through the blockade of these worlds, we can even use several Dao auras to buy divine beast blood essences and natural treasures of the divine realm. Yes. Not only will we be able to buy divine beast blood essences and natural treasures with several Dao auras, we can even buy a large portion of innate divine charm with several Dao auras. Profound Comprehension Sword Master nodded heavily. Monopoly. Just like how the Divine Wilderness world had monopolized the prices of goods in other continents, the prices of goods in the Divine Wilderness world were similarly monopolized by other worlds. At this moment, Xing Hui finally understood why the Primal Chaos Realm treasures he bought, even for the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion, only cost 1,000 Dao auras. At the end of the day, it was because the low-level Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion had monopolized the goods sold. However, the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion of the 60th level Son of Chaos had clearly broken through this monopoly. It was precisely because of this that he was able to buy these top-notch treasures time and time again. Chapter 757. Then, our next step is to think of a way to unify the Chaos Temple, elect a Master of the Chaos Temple, and break the seal of the surrounding worlds on our Divine Wilderness world. Xing Hui roughly understood everyone's plan. That's right, to elect a Master of the Chaos Temple, and to elect a Master of the Chaos Temple, we must obtain the approval of the many Sons of Chaos in the Divine Wilderness world. Then, the Divine Wilderness, which has a large number of Sons of Chaos, will have to be dealt with. Firmament Master nodded, and at the same time, there was a trace of excitement on his face. As far as I know, the production of Dao aura in our Divine Wilderness is several times higher than that of other worlds. Even though our Divine Wilderness has declined over the years, as long as we can continuously produce Dao aura, we can still purchase many sets of cultivation treasures from the Chaos Temple. In time, we can still advance to the insightful Void Realm, Vacuum Shattering Realm, and even the Divine True Body Realm. Anusruckus Holy Man, who was eager to show off, quickly added, the Nether Sword Ancestor's information is correct. The production of Dao aura in our Divine Wilderness world is indeed much higher than that of other worlds. At least, from what I know, the Heaven Primordial World's Dao aura production is less than that of the Heaven Primordial World every year, and the Heaven Primordial World is one of the most powerful worlds in our star domain. It has invaded many worlds before. As for the true Sun world behind eternity, its Dao aura production is slightly lower than that of the Heaven Primordial World, probably around 1600 to 1800, 1600 to 1800. Hearing Anusruckus Holy Man say such an accurate number, not only was Xing Hui slightly stunned, but even Firmament Master, Shadow-Bearing Sword Master, Jinzhao Esteemed Master, and the others who had some understanding of the Divine Wilderness world's Dao aura production were shocked. So little. This number is much lower than I imagined. What is so special about our Divine Wilderness world that it can receive so many Dao auras? Several esteemed masters guessed. But Xing Hui's heart skipped a beat. He had a vague feeling that the divine wilderness was able to produce so many Tao carriers because of the fortune divine jade. One had to know that before Dongqian brought the fortune divine jade to earth, it had always been in the divine wilderness. But the heaven primordial world behind the heavenly Tao, and even the true sun primordial world behind the eternal world, were all envious of the rich production of Tao aura in the divine wilderness. Thus, they tried every means to wander in the endless void, searching for the location of the divine wilderness. For this reason, countless forerunners fell in the void storm and got lost in the endless void. After spending tens of thousands of years searching, finally, 10,000 years ago, the heaven primordial world was the first to find the existence of the divine wilderness. And because the true sun primordial world behind the eternal world was being invaded by the heaven primordial world, it was very curious about the sudden retreat of the heaven primordial world. After tracing it back, it also discovered the location of the divine wilderness. The leakless holy man said. As the number 2 figure in the heavenly Tao, he obviously had a deeper understanding of the inside story than anyone else present. What an unexpected calamity! The shadow-bearing sword master, firmament master, Zhuzhao master and the others looked at each other and sighed at the same time. If the heaven primordial world did not find our divine wilderness world in such a short period of time, and gave the divine wilderness more time to develop, with the divine wilderness world's unique production of Tao carriers, I'm afraid that after tens of thousands of years, the divine wilderness world would have developed into a world that far surpassed the heaven primordial world. At that time, even if the heaven primordial world found our divine wilderness world, they would inevitably be defeated. Profound comprehension Swordmaster sighed. Leakless holy man, how strong were the divine wilderness world, heaven primordial world, and true sun primordial world at their peak 10,000 years ago. At this time, Tsing Hui, who wanted to go to the true sun primordial world behind the eternal sun primordial world, suddenly asked. Facing Tsing Hui's inquiry, the leakless holy man did not dare to be negligent in the slightest, and hurriedly said, I'm afraid only the netherworld sword ancestor and divine venerable ancient desolation, who had survived from ancient times, know how strong the divine wilderness world was. As for the heaven primordial world, as far as I know, there were a total of 9 supreme sects in the heaven primordial world, and each of those supreme sects had an ancestor-level figure who could suppress the heavens. 9. World creation with a thought. No. I remember that in the Great War 10,000 years ago, it was said that there was an invincible existence of the Chaos Realm. Could it be the Chaos Realm? Firmament Master suddenly said. It should be the Chaos Realm. The leakless holy man nodded. Over the years, we have intermittently excavated the cave dwelling of the world creation with a thought experts in the divine wilderness world, as well as the confirmed number of world creation with a thought experts. There are at least 30 of them. If the 9 great ancestors really only had the cultivation of world creation with a thought, they simply could not compete with the divine wilderness world. 9 Chaos Realm experts. Zhu Zhao Shangren took a deep breath. With the originator, he had a higher chance of stepping into the Chaos Realm than ordinary people, but when he heard that the heaven primordial world behind Tian Dao had 9 chaos giants in its heyday, he still felt incredulous. In particular, the divine wilderness world had fought against the heaven primordial world and the true sun primordial world until both sides suffered losses. Then, how glorious and prosperous was the divine wilderness world at that time? There has always been a rumor in the endless void, that only the chaos giants can protect a world, and a world without a chaos giant is equivalent to a lamb in the eyes of others, prey, and ultimately unable to escape the fate of being slaughtered. This is because, only by breaking through to the chaos realm and borrowing the chaotic yuan qi, a cultivator's world can live forever. As long as a chaos giant is not destroyed, its world will be immortal, and as long as the world exists, then the clan that they belong to will never perish. Leakless holy man said. Firmament master, shadow-bearing sword master, profound comprehension sword master, suffering true God, by Heng sword master, and the others nodded in agreement. They had also heard of this rumor. Alright, it's too early to talk about this problem. We have two things to do now. One is to go to the heavenly Tao and completely exterminate the fish that escaped the net of the heavenly Tao. The other is to go to the divine wilderness and uproot the divine wilderness that is taking advantage of the situation. Then, we will unify the divine wilderness world's primal chaos realm and elect the master of the primal chaos shrine. Zhu Zhao sage said and put an end to this topic. Xing Hui nodded. When the cooldown of my transformation skill is over, I will inform everyone. Now, please prepare for war, the destruction of the heavenly way is just around the corner. All right. When the time comes, we will wait for Sword Master Xing Hui to show his invincible power. Profound comprehension, Sword Master said with a smile. Then, everyone separated and went back to rest. Each of them represented a huge interest group, and in the face of such a major event, they naturally had to make proper arrangements. As for Xing Hui, when he returned to his courtyard, he could properly organize his cultivation over the years, and make arrangements for the next step after the divine wilderness world was stabilized. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. 10 days later, Venerable Yuanri brought Xing Hui to the bitter prison that was personally guarded and suppressed by Zhu Zhao sage. He said with a smile, "My lord, the saints of the eternal and heavenly way have all surrendered. After all, compared to their lives, the Tao-carrying items, divine weapons, heavenly materials, earthly treasures, and even the chaotic realm are all worldly possessions. Under my coercion and persuasion during this period of time, they have all thought it through and are willing to hand over their Tao-carrying items, divine weapons, heavenly materials, earthly treasures, and primal chaos techniques. These people are all personally brought here by you, so they will be at your disposal." Oh. Xing Hui originally did not plan to ask these people for primal chaos techniques, but he did not expect Venerable Yuanri to bring him such an unexpected surprise. "Thank you, Venerable Yuanri," Xing Hui said. "It's my honor to be able to help you, Sword Master Xing Hui. Let's see if any of the 4 sect alliances have taken a fancy to those divine weapons. If they do, sell them at a low price and exchange them for Tao-carrying items. As for the Tao-carrying items themselves, there's a total of 2,494, almost 2,500. If the Sword Venerable of Green Ruins really is willing to sell those weapons, it'll be for the best. With these weapons, our strength will definitely increase by a lot," said the Sword Venerable. "Nearly 2,500. Xing Hui's eyes lit up. These saints were really rich. He had already collected more than half of the 4,400 Tao-carrying items in such a short period of time. As long as he sold those divine weapons, even if they were sold at a low price, it would be more than enough to buy 3 portions of the Originator and the Wood Spirit Queen." "Thank you. Sword Master Xing Hui, you're welcome. If it weren't for Sword Master Xing Hui, how could our Sky Vault Empire be where it is today?" After Venerable Yuanri finished speaking, he seemed to think of something and said, "By the way, Emperor Tai Yi said that he wants to see you. He said that as long as you are willing to meet him, he is willing to accept our conditions." "Sword Master, what do you think? Tai Yi wants to see me. Then I'll meet him and see what he has to say." Xing Hui stepped into the hardship prison as he spoke. After walking for a while in the hardship prison, he saw Emperor Tai Yi, whose hands and feet were pierced by iron hooks. These iron hooks were made of demon refining iron, which had a strong interference and sealing effect on the circulation of genuine qi in a cultivator's body. In addition, Venerable Yuanri would definitely torture Emperor Tai Yi's mind when interrogating him, causing his mental state to be extremely low and unable to sense the Chaos Divine Palace. As a result, Emperor Tai Yi had to be imprisoned and tortured in the hardship prison despite his terrifying vacuum-shattering cultivation base. "Emperor Tai Yi, what do you want?" Sword Master Xing Hui. Emperor Tai Yi raised his head and looked at Xing Hui, a trace of deeply hidden unwillingness and hatred flashing in his eyes. However, he quickly hid this trace of unwillingness and hatred and said in a deep voice, "Sword Master Xing Hui, do you know that you are missing out on a great opportunity?" "Great opportunity?" Xing Hui looked at Emperor Tai Yi, who appeared fierce but was weak at heart, and said with a faint smile, "What great opportunity. I might as well tell you frankly, Sword Master Xing Hui, there is a formation in eternity that leads directly to the true Sun Great World behind eternity. This formation has been completely perfected, and we have transmitted the coordinates to our true Sun Great World. Once the supreme existences of our true Sun Great World reach a consensus, we will tear open the void, open the passage between the two worlds, and lay down the void teleportation formation to descend. At that time, the entire divine wilderness world will be in the hands of our true Sun Great World." Emperor Tai Yi said earnestly, "Sword Master Xing Hui, your talent is amazing. If you are willing to abandon the darkness and join eternity to lead the way for the experts of true Sun Great World, you will naturally be valued by the supreme experts of true Sun Great World. Even if they accept you as a disciple, it will not be an extravagant hope for you to grow to the boundary realm in the future. However, what you are doing now is gradually drifting away from this great opportunity. Believe me, it is not too late for you to let me go and join eternity. Otherwise, when that day comes, you will not have the chance to regret it even if you regret it." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.